understand that I don't wanna play your game.
The Earth is very flat.
What's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, September 15th, 2021. This is Brandon, host of Brandon's Show. Welcome to the Department of Noncompliance daily meeting. I have no idea what we're going to be talking about today, but we've got a lot of people in Discord, as you see on the screen right now. So it should be a good show. I think Pete is fired up, so get ready for plenty of Pete Shea. And more joining by the second. That's cool. Anyway, how are you guys doing out there? Doing good? Cleary, Gadget Inspector, Balanced Truth, Ian Adams, Ute Who, PJ Cruikshank, and Page 42. What's up, Page? Sean Hawkins. Yes, Sean. I let you back in, Sean. I didn't even ban you, man. But I let you back in. That's how nice of a guy I am. Emancipated autodidactic. Carlos. That is a mouthful. I'll have to try to say that later. Rune Thorson. And who else? What's up, Rune? PJ was first. The launch. Oh, yes. I heard there is a big launch coming up. That's going to change everything. That's going to change everything, isn't it? SpaceX, everything about it looks fake. Absolutely. Absolutely, Gadget. Looks ridiculous. Better than the old stuff, though, like the stuff that we looked at on Monday. That stuff is pretty awful. I still can't figure out if Branch was being serious or if he was just fucking with me when he said that he doesn't see anything wrong with it. Because to me, I just look at that and I go, yeah, that's fake. That is made for TV bullshit. But who knows? I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder or whatever. Ask and Receive, Guns of the Navarone, and Rich Spillman. What's going on, guys? Did that launch already take place, or is that yet to happen? I think I saw that it was in a few hours or whatever, and supposedly it's non-government people, or what? Civilians? Rich dudes? Not that it matters. I really don't care what 3 people you shoot up there. It doesn't really make a difference. It's like, if you're going to get somebody to go up, depending on how high they go up, and lie to me, I don't really care who signs their paycheck. But whatever. Anyway, all right, let's go into Discord, see what's going on, and I'm sure we'll talk about the SpaceX stuff.
Moving, and then to account for everything else, all the other observations of the sky, etc., then the globe comes into being. But when you don't assume that, but then a different, what do you call it?
Hey, Pete, can you hear me?
Not flat Earth.
Hey, Pete, can you hear me?
Than what NASA
Yes, I can.
Fine. Hey, Pete, in geometry, what shape would be a ball in a geometric term?
That'd be a sphere, I guess.
Yeah, okay, perfect. What geometric shape would you call flat?
No, that's not a shape. That's why flat Earth is a psyop. Earth cannot be
Thank
flat.
you, PJ.
That's why I say Earth. I actually, whoever asked that, can I answer? Whoever asked that, I point this out to flat earthers all the time. I say, if you have a table in front of you, you say that table is flat. I say you're wrong, because that table is more than just made up of the flat surface at top. I say that the Earth's surface is flat. What Earth is something different. So whoever asked that, that's my answer.
Thank you, PJ. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're on the level.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
You
How's
say
it
on the
going?
level.
We're live on YouTube. How you doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. What up?
What's up? What's going
up, Brandon?
on?
I got a new microphone.
What's going on? Huh? Say that again. You got a new microphone?
I got a new microphone and you didn't even hear me. That's horrible.
Holy shit! It does sound better. I like it.
All right, cool.
I hope you took Brian to the store with you.
Or
No offense, Brian.
No, but
cool,
I'll send Brian to the AirPods that I just got them cheap too. They're only $50.
$50. That's not bad sounding for $50. Nice.
Plus the radiation to your brain.
Let me shout
think
out
we're
everybody in
AirPods.
here. Oh, go ahead.
Nah, nothing. Go ahead.
All right, let me just give a shout out to everybody who's in the chat here. JJ Baldius, BD, Billy Sanchez, Boofus, Chad, Chikey, Conrad, Conspiracy, Santa, C-Stel, D-Mock, Drink of Kool-Aid, Enigma, Emerald, Face One, Farming Ganja, Effie, Purgatory, Effie, Walker, Fuzzy Walk, Geo, I'm your Copernicus, Pete Shea, Jeremy, Science Proves Things, Carnivore, Matrix Media J, Mr. Logo 73, No Namer, Rob on the Keen, Level, and Seek and Find. Good to see you guys. What was I gonna say? It's been a good day. I've already banned 2 of Flurfer Nerfer socks, aka Giggles. So it's been a very productive day for me, and I'm very happy with myself.
So you have no sick days left. You've used all
I
your
used
sick
them all
days
for the
this
year, huh? Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah, my schedule's been fucking crazy for work, so not much I can do about it, but hopefully it clears up after the summer's over. But anyway, so SpaceX has got a big launch today, I heard, and it's going to change everything.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
change nothing. Even if it happens tomorrow, the globalists will be right back here crying about flat Earth. It's not going
Yeah,
to
and telling us how this proves the globe. But
Yeah,
anyways,
just-
I wanted to say something. I just wanted to say something about the force. I just wanted to say something about the 4 civilians. Has anybody actually looked into who these 4 civilians actually are, and if any of these 4 civilians have any ties to the military?
No, have you?
Yeah, I have. You should look at the names of the 4 civilians that are going up into space. I put space in air quotes, but we maybe we could do that on this show today. Is look at these 4 civilians in air quotes.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I
sure
can
they're
see
just
that.
normal
That-
people, no military or government ties at all.
They got it listed right here in the description for YouTube here. Inspiration 4 is commanded by Jared Isaacman, founder and CEO of Shift 4 Payments, and an accomplished pilot and adventurer. Joining him are medical officer Haley Arcanow, a physician assistant at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and pediatric cancer survivor. Mission specialist Chris Sambrowski, an Air Force veteran and aerospace data engineer. And mission pilot Dr. Cyan Proctor, a geoscientist, entrepreneur, and trained pilot. Huh. I have to look deeper into their backgrounds, I guess, to figure out where these guys came from.
If they were really serious about civilians, they would go out of their way to make sure one of the civilians was a flat earther at this point in society, because that's what basically everyone talks about. It's like, well, you should just take a shot up in the rocket.
Yeah, right?
Talk to them. Why ain't they bringing a flat earther up there? That's some bullshit.
Yeah, taking a flat
I
earther.
ain't gonna do it, but
I don't think any of this is significant though, because I think what they're doing is they're moving into this this next phase of quote unquote space travel, where it's the civilian trick, the civilian deception. Oh, we're sending all these civilians up, and there's so many ways they can fudge this on multiple levels. I mean, it's just like the playing field is wide open for them to come up with so many ways to deceive people that these civilians are doing whatever they claim they're doing. But I think it's a media stunt, exactly. But it's kind of this next phase because they know people are figuring stuff out, so they have to do this. And you notice a lot of the globe earthers like, but there's civilians going, they're doing it, so they're jumping on it as well. They feel like it's support, in that way. So yeah, but I just don't think whatever they're doing is going to be anything different than what they've done for the last number of years.
Yeah, this is going to change nothing. Nothing at all.
Nothing new under the sun.
No, nothing new. Like, what, they can't lie with 4 civilians? They couldn't hire 4 civilians to lie? How do we know who these people are? They could have intelligence background. They could be intelligence agents. We don't know these fucking people. Why would we trust these people over the people that work directly for SpaceX or for the government? I don't understand. What's the thinking
Why
there?
would these 4 civilians lie?
Oh yeah, good point. Why would they lie? I don't know. But yeah, it's just not every single time one of these happens, these guys come around, oh, how are you gonna say the earth is flat now, huh? Like when they shot the guys up 60 miles. It's just ridiculous.
Brandon, I'm just reading Wikipedia. So the mission aims to complete the first orbital spaceflight with only private citizens on board as part of the effort to raise awareness for the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital at Memphis.
Jesus Christ, Pete.
Oh, what is
Pete.
that? Are you riding a
Oh,
motorcycle?
that was leaky. My bad, Pete. My bad. That was leaky.
Okay. So it's to raise awareness for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, which deals in fucking cancer care for children. Isn't that fucking unbelievable as well? Isn't that unbelievable?
Tie it into something that no one can say anything bad about without being called a monster.
And also another fraud as well. We all know about cannabis and cancer and many other treatments as well. But this is horrendous, isn't it? That they're bringing the children in as well. So yeah, even if you're susceptible or skeptical in one way, if you say to anyone, they'll say, "Look, it's for a good cause. Shut your mouth." You know.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helping kids with cancer. Yeah, I'm all for helping kids with cancer, but
they need to be motivated to help kids. That really kind of tells you that even they don't think it's a globe. They need a payout to do the right thing.
And are these people supposed to? Oh, go ahead, Gio.
Oh no, okay. I was just gonna say that. Well, no, I forget what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Oh shit. So are these people supposedly not? They're like volunteers. They're not getting a paycheck from SpaceX, or they're supposedly just doing it for charity, or what? Either way, they're gonna get something out of this because they're gonna get fame. You know, I'm sure these people are not going to get nothing out of it, right? The prestige of it, either way. So it's not like they're sacrificing their time at a soup kitchen, handing out, food to homeless people or whatever. But whatever.
I'm just looking at one of the names. I was going to suggest to people, like, we know it's a hoax, right? So they might be transmitting lots of truth via the names. One of the names is Haley Arsnew. Would you believe it? Arsnew. That's just maybe an Irish thing, but lots of SpaceX. You can't say SpaceX without SpaceX, right? But that's where I'd be looking for clues, because we know the whole fucking thing is nonsense. But is there any,
Now, as fucking crazy as that sounds, Pete, I do know what you're saying, because a lot of people suspect that they kind of do a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff where they send messages with numbers and names and mock us with ridiculous names of people.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the Mars mission, that last one, they just rickrolled it.
I think the original name.
There was an actual rickroll at the end of that Mars thing earlier this year.
Oh, was there? I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Here, I got it. It's still there to this day. You can just watch the live stream and get rickrolled.
Okay.
Well, I think this is I see it as sort of like their latest, like from the viewpoint that this is completely fabricated. It is like a cult or like a religion, but more like a cult, where there's sort of this blind belief in these authorities, and then there's these priests, whether it's Neil deGrasse or astronauts or whoever, who are sort of like owning the heavens. They're traveling them and they're puncturing into the heavens. So from that perspective, they kind of roll out these new tenets of the belief, which whether that's the space station, over the years, they've kind of rolled these things out. So I think at this point, the kind of cutting edge, if you want to call it that, part of this, the kind of this deception is this kind of civilian space travel level of it. And now everybody has to believe this, and all the believers have to support that these are real civilians, and they have to laugh at people that don't think it's real. So it's just sort of like the new program that you have to jump on board and defend if you're already a part of this belief system.
Yeah, I see a lot of parallels between some of the stuff these guys do in public with their ceremonies, and if you watch videos from Scientology, it's kind of creepy sometimes. Assuming all this is a hoax, which I think it is, it once you look at it from that viewpoint, it seems very religious. A lot of the stuff that surrounds it, definitely heliocentrism is a religion.
Well,
either way.
Well, the name of the Shift 4 payment CEO is Jared Isaacman, and immediately we were brought to Isaac. Isn't that the son of Abraham who was going to sacrifice on the altar? Wasn't that? I just posted I know you want to continue with this, Brandon, so I'll shut up, right? But I just posted the insignia that goes with inspiration. Be interesting to look at, and I'm thinking in terms of Jeff Bezos. He sent up a big dick rocket, right? But previous to that, Richard Branson set up the Vagina, the Virgin mission, and one intercepted with the other. So I think this is all sort of reconnection ritual, and this is why all of these names are sort of chosen. And the emission insignia there as well. You might put that on screen for us to consider. I think would be a good idea. I'll shut up.
Yeah.
No, I do agree with you that that's part of how it works. Like, they deceive people into worshiping whatever they're doing. So people think it's science. They think it's real. They think they're, traveling into the sky or whatever to, discover things. So people are believing it. Meanwhile, they're using it as essentially like a black magic ritual with their own, symbols and their own whatever. But at the end of the day, they have millions of people tuning in, their hearts, their emotions, their minds are attached to it. They're cheering for it. They're wearing a SpaceX t-shirt, whatever that may be. And on a spiritual level, they actually get something from that. They actually get, I don't think it's real power, but they feel like it is. And they're certainly getting people's attention, and then they can sway people with that. So it does have an influence for sure.
I can agree with you there, but I actually think this is all our own story being told here. We have to bear that in mind as well, and I don't mean that lightly, honest to God. But sorry.
Oh, that's all right. So I'm just looking through these people's background here. This Christopher Sembrowski is a Lockheed Martin employee.
That's not suspicious at all.
All right. U.S. Air Force missileman. So he's an Air Force guy. I'm just looking at these other ones. Haley. She doesn't seem like she's got a background outside of this, except for I think she's kind of the tie-in with the St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
I would start looking at who she's related to.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing any connections here. She might be. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, you just can't tell with these people.
There's a claim they're making about her, though. Like, I guess she apparently works at, I don't know whether she's a nurse or a doctor at that hospital. And then she also had cancer. Apparently, I don't know the whole story, but I only heard tidbits of it. And then apparently, there's also something about her being the youngest woman. Is that what it is? Someone had just told me about it because quickly. But there's something about it's supposed to be some landmark thing because I think it's the youngest woman, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, no, it says youngest American in space. I guess maybe youngest woman too, but yeah. So she's kind of like the the feel good story of the whole thing. Huh?
I posted in the general. Oh yeah, the Rick roll from that Perseverance. Both like the screen cap of it and then the YouTube video with the timestamp.
Gotcha. This was on the actual NASA stream, huh?
Yep, straight up.
Oh, at Rick asked. Huh.
Well, I
That's
think
kinda funny.
to me, it's clear that this is their response to people waking up to their deception. You know, this is part of it, is the civilian. Because I can't tell you how many people, whether it's some of my family members or just different people that, you know, who certainly don't agree with me on what I think is going on with all this, but, you know, or even just globe earthers in this community, they'll instantly say, but they're sending civilians to space. You know, it's like that's their number one thing, you know, that is supposed to be proving their outer space story. So they got everyone on board with this new kind of, you know, phase of what they're doing. So
Absolutely.
St. Jude is the patron saint of lost causes. St. Jude is. So that's interesting. I wonder, is there some accident planned? Do you remember what happened the last time they brought a civilian on board? That was the Challenger, I think, wasn't it? Where the school teacher died, supposedly. I wonder.
Well, it ties in with all their medical stuff now too, right? So it reinforces this new messaging that people in the healthcare profession are heroes, and they've kind of swapped from the soldiers to the medical workers. You know, that they flopped that propaganda that they used to say about soldiers during that 20-year war we just had, and now they flopped it onto the medical profession.
Right,
so hopefully
heroes.
we're not in for 20 years of this bullshit, though.
yeah, the last rollout. The last rollout was sort of the billionaires, and now we got the medical hero who had cancer. Apparently, her story, you know, she had some horrible cancer as a child, and then, you know, medicine, quote unquote, cured it or whatever, and then now she's helping others. Which, I mean, if that's a true story, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with helping people and all that, but it's sort of the part of the propaganda story that they're putting into this one, like you said, kind of bringing in the medical part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if she's she's a real person, hey, God bless her, whatever. We all love children. We all love getting healthy children. And if she thinks she's doing some good, you know, it is what it is. But I was just looking at this other one. This is CN Proctor. And she is from the 2016 PBS series Genius by Stephen Hawking. She was in one of those episodes. I don't know if you guys remember.
An actress.
That show where they faked curvature and some other stuff. Let me see if I can find those clips.
All right.
Yeah. So
She's
that
not
was kind of
biased
a
at all.
propaganda thing in itself. And then I think the fourth guy is the actual.
Brandon, can I just stick to my statements earlier? You know, all four of these quote unquote civilians may also have to sign non-disclosure.
Oh,
They're
I'm sure
going
they
fucking
do. Yeah.
nowhere anyway. They're going nowhere. And now that I think
Yeah, they're
about
probably
it,
going to make them sign an NDA.
yeah, but they're not going up in any rocket. But now that I think about it, maybe this is what we're being set up for, is another disaster post 9/11. It's a good stage for it, isn't it? It's a good time for it as well. Maybe they'll crash it into the fucking ISS or something, Brandon. We'll have a fireworks show and something to talk about for the next few weeks. But no, I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
I know, man, but just because St. Jude is the patron saint of lost causes, it seems like we're lost these days, isn't it? Especially truthers. But I wonder, are they planning something like that now? Well, we'll find out.
I hope not.
We know there's no one going up there anyway. We know that for a fact. You can't go up in a fucking rocket. Mach 2.5 or something, and orbit around the Earth. So there's no one in there. So it will be all a theater one way or the other. But I wonder, is it going to be a disaster theater?
That's the question. I think when that happened with like Sally Ride, you know, the Challenger and all that, I think that to me that propaganda of that was because they got all of us that were in school, you know, they rolled the TVs into the classroom, and it was, you know, and then of course the teacher and all that. So to me, that was a message of, oh, you know, they're doing this space travel. They went to the moon in the 60s or the 70s. They didn't do much. And then all of a sudden in the 80s, you know, they needed to kind of impact people on how dangerous space travel is, and people can die. You know, so that's a way to get people to be more weary of it.
Absolutely.
So that they don't have to actually do it in a sense. Yeah.
Well said,
Good
Gino.
point.
Well said.
I just
What
saw that they're tying in
trauma-inducing
social
horror.
justice into this whole thing now too. Listen to this. Inspiration 4's Dr. CN Proctor will be the first black female to pilot a spacecraft. So that they've got a storyline there too. It's all social engineering. This just screams social engineering.
Black
the whole thing.
sacrifice. The female black sacrifice.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens. Never wish
Very
anybody any harm,
sacramental.
but I don't put anything past them. Godzilla 37 says years later and they still can't prove their globe. Do you think they'll ever concede? Yeah, right. Thank you for the show, Brandon. Thank you, Godzilla. Thanks to the panel as well. Anyway, yeah, so I didn't really have anything planned. A kind of open panel, open topic. If anybody's got anything they're dying to talk about, have at it.
All right, if you have a balloon, you got a container on a scale, and you got a balloon inside the container tied to the bottom of the container, helium balloon, right? Then you cut the balloon, and it floats to the top of the container. Now it's floating on the top. Is that going to change? Is the weight ever going to change inside the container?
Say it one more time.
The weight is not going to change. The weight is not going to change because the weight is the weight. That's not going to change. But its behavior in different mediums will change. Obviously.
Hold on. Say it one more time. One more time.
You got a container. Light container filled with air. It's on a scale. Inside the container, there's a helium balloon tied to the bottom of the container. Right?
Right.
Then we snip the line that it's connecting the bottom of the container to the balloon, and it floats to the top. Does the weight change throughout any of that process?
No, the weight does not change at all. That's a constant, isn't it?
Are you sure?
Because it came in as it's a helium balloon filled with the balloon material that has its own weight, and then the amount of volume of helium you put in there, that has its own weight, kind of. So what's happening?
Also, another question would be,
and the string.
Another question would be, if you take the balloon out, does it weigh more? Because the balloon's pressing up in both instances.
Yeah, but the balloon has its own molecules, and what makes the amount to make a balloon, that's a constant weight it's there, that's fixed. And then you fill it up with helium. The helium has some weight, even though it's a gas, it has some weight. Whatever that weight is, that's a constant. So where's the weight changing? The weight is not changing. But behavior of the weight in the medium, that's a question.
What do you mean by the behavior of the medium?
Well, I mean, because in air, it floats up at a certain rate. You put it in water, it may float up even faster because the medium is more solid, isn't it? The water itself. So the behavior of the balloon with its fixed weight will behave differently in different mediums. That's what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, that one's kind of it's a little counterintuitive too, Jeremy, because you think about the balloon, you let it go, it is putting upward pressure on the box, right? Which always makes me think, well, it's going to make the box lighter because it's putting the upward pressure. But I don't think it matters if it's tied to the bottom or if it's pushing on the top. It wouldn't make a difference either way.
Yeah, but how about hold on, Jen? Hold on a second. Jen, one second, Jen. What about when we take the balloon out and now there's nothing pressing up on the top? It should weigh more, right?
It will weigh more because you're replacing the balloon with air. I think we
again, I think we're missing the point. The container has its fixed weight. Okay, so its fixed weight is fixed, and then you add a balloon in there, then you're going to increase the weight a little bit because you've increased the helium balloon with molecules, and it's adding to the weight of the container a little bit, even though it's trying to push it out. But when you remove it, it doesn't change the weight of the container, does it?
Okay, let's say I have a super light
If
container.
anything, it'll make it weigh less. It'll make it weigh less if you take out the helium balloon from the container. When you put it in, you're increasing a little bit of weight there.
No, why? It's pressing up on the container.
Yeah, but
It
it's
doesn't even make sense.
you're putting it into the container. You're putting it into the container, so you're increasing the weight in there. Surely, as soon as it attaches itself to that container, okay, it's increasing. Surely, it's
I would like
exerting
to see this
pressure.
this experiment done. Someone designed it last time we talked about this. I can't remember who it was, but they did a pretty good job of designing it.
Yeah, you feel me though, Brandon? Like inside the container, the balloon's pressing up. So now I take the balloon out,
Yes.
and nothing's pressing up on it more. So it's gonna weigh more when I take mass out of it.
I don't know how it's going to weigh more because look, the helium balloon has the potential to lift weight. That's correct, isn't it? The helium balloon has the potential to lift weight.
Of course.
But it itself has its own little weight, and if it's touching the container, then it's adding its weight to that container. Surely.
Why would
If
it
you
matter
measure
if
the
it's
whole thing-
touching? Why would it matter if it's just touching it? What do you mean by touching?
Well, because if it's in the middle of the container, then it's floating in there. It's not doing anything. It's just floating. It's not adding to the container's weight. The container's a solid thing, and the inside.
But it's not
okay,
floating.
Well, then
it's not floating.
Sorry, then it would
Pressing.
increase the weight. Then I would agree. I can see where you're going, and it would increase the weight. Yeah, if you're going to add everything, the gas, the volume, it's all going to be. If you can measure it, that is, then it's going to be a plus. It's not going to be a minus.
Yeah, so you've got this.
The gas is able to lift.
You've got this container. It's air sealed. It's got air inside of it.
Right.
Standard air.
Right.
It's all the same temperature.
Right.
It's sealed. You put it on a scale. Now,
Okay.
you somehow magically add a balloon, a helium balloon in the center of it.
It's got to go up, hasn't it? Automatically, the weight has to go up because you're adding. Has to go.
Yeah,
up.
but
If
it's gonna.
measurable.
I understand what you're saying. Here's the counterintuitive part: is the balloon is going to put upward pressure on the container. Now, I understand that
Yes.
it's supposedly also putting downward pressure on the medium, but that's why I'd like to see this experiment actually done. I don't think we were able to find.
Yeah. I
anything
think
like
we're
this
going.
actually
And
done.
again, when I look at what you're doing, I just think we're going too far to prove something here. What are we trying?
No, I don't think we're trying
So
to.
what if you
What are we trying to
What are
prove?
we trying to
Hold on,
prove,
what if you
Jeremy?
had-
Jeremy, what are we trying to prove here?
what if you had the balloon, and instead of being tied to the bottom or it floating on the top, you just have it sitting in the middle?
Like I said.
You know, you have the helium just right. You know how you got a helium balloon sometimes for a week or two and it's floating in the middle of your room?
Yeah.
What if we do
because-
that inside the container?
Yeah, that's right. The reason that is because the amount of helium in the balloon has dispersed. Okay, and then the weight of the molecules of the balloon is now being it's weighing upon the amount of volume of the helium. So the amount of helium in that balloon is not enough to lift it to the ceiling anymore because it's dissipated. Do you understand? It's evaporated, if you will, over time. I've done a 1-year experiment, and it took 1 year, 2 months for a helium balloon that was filled. You know, it was on the ceiling for like half a year, at least 6 months, 7 months, and then it began to drop. It began to drop, and it took like another 6, 7 months to hit the ground, and it was still floating there as well.
Did you keep a
I've done
daily
that
diary for that, Jen?
Well, you know, my students kept the diary. My students kept the diary because I was trying to show them why isn't gravity pulling it down. That was my experience at Gin's English School. Why wasn't gravity pulling it down immediately? Because I showed them, look, here's my pencil, it's gone. Here's my rubber, it's gone. Here's a coin, it's gone. But then look at the balloon. Why isn't it being pulled down? Why? I asked them.
So-
Why? Is gravity really real, or is it because the coin is heavier than the air? Yet because the balloon hovering on the ground, it's still lighter than the coins and everything else. That's why.
One
I
of the
did
students
that.
came back.
With
one of the
all
students
due
came back
respect.
after one of the students came back after 14 months, Jin, and he said, "Look, I told you I was right. Gravity just takes a little bit of time to
No, yeah,
act."
because it was there. You know why? Because it was in the classroom. It was in the classroom all day long for a year and 2 months. It was in the classroom. So they're coming in every week, not every day, but every week. It was there. They could see it. It was
Did it
unavoidable.
deflate?
It was in the
Did
classroom. Sorry?
did it deflate somewhat? Did the surface tension sort of lessen somewhat? So some of the helium was released. Is that
Basically, the balloon became baggy, of course.
yeah?
It's
Yeah.
not the first time. It's not the first time I've done this either. I've done this experiment when I wasn't a flat earther. When my kids had presents, they'd come attached with helium balloons. We'd leave them to see what would happen, and we saw what happened. We still even then. You see what I mean? But when I explained to them about the flat Earth and how gravity doesn't exist, sort of thing, they instantly understood because of the toys they received with the helium balloon. My children, that is. So no, man.
So, with all due respect to Jin's balloon, can I address Jeremy's point?
Please go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Good story, Jin.
The scale is going to measure and give us the outcome of all the force applied to it. The force being weight. So if you are putting in an upward force that's taking off some of the weight, it's going to read less, as it's not.
Yeah, so if we have so if we have the container with the helium balloon in it, and let's say it's tied to the bottom or floating on top, whatever, either one, it's going to be pressing up, and the container would weigh, it doesn't matter, and the container would weigh less. Now I'm going to take this mass out of the container, right, and it's going to weigh more.
Because
Wait,
you've
let's do a thought.
Yeah.
No,
Let's do a thought experiment here. Check this out.
The answer is
Okay.
because you
Can I ask
remove
a question?
the
Can I ask a question?
Let's hear Kool-Aid's answer. Let's hear Kool-Aid's answer.
Yeah.
first.
No, don't
Hold
try to reword it. Don't try to reword my shit.
right.
No, Jeremy, I'm going to ask you a question.
Did you
Jeremy.
remove the
Hold on,
upward
Jen.
force? If you
I took
remove the
mass. Don't try to reword the shit. I took mass out of the container.
right,
But
but
I-
you also
A lot of
changed
mass.
forces.
The
Yes.
balloon. So I take mass out of the container and it weighs more.
The
That's what you're saying.
yes,
That's
That-
exactly what he's saying.
because
And check this
That's
out.
a- that's-
because you have
Hold on.
removed.
What if you
weight
take?
force.
What if you take the top and so if you have a helium balloon in there and you take the top and you press down, adding more pressure to the container. Okay, the air in there is not going to weigh more, but the helium is going to have more buoyancy. Like if
Not
you
bad.
if you took
Going
the
right
dome, if you took the dome and pushed down and made more pressure down here at ground level, the helium balloon would have more uplift, but the air still would not weigh shit on a scale.
Oh, hold on a minute. I want to back up a little bit because Kool-Aid. Do I understand you correctly? If I had the balloon in the container,
Right.
I add the balloon in the container. Okay, it's a sealed container. I magically transport this balloon into the container, and it's putting upward pressure on the container that's on the scale. It's going to weigh less at that point.
Correct.
It's not going to weigh less. You see.
It's got the hold on. It's got the same amount of air.
That's
It's
right.
got the same everything. All I did was introduce the helium balloon. You say it'll weigh less. Is that correct, Kool-Aid?
Yes.
I say no. It's
Because
Okay,
what the
interesting.
scale is doing. What the scale is
Oh,
doing.
if you put enough balloons, it'll float.
Hold
you
on,
put
let
enough
Kool-Aid
helium,
answer, and
it'll
then hold on, Brian.
Right.
Go ahead, Kool-Aid.
If you're putting another force vector on it, and the scale is just reading the sum of the force vector.
Thank you.
See, that was my fucking argument months ago, and I
Hang
got
on,
talked out
hang
of
on,
it.
Thank you. Thank you
Hang on a
very
second.
much.
That's correct.
Hang on a second. There's another consideration here. So with the container, right, as you weigh it, there is air in it. Now, as you put the balloon in, you displace that air, which is denser.
No, the air
No,
remains
it's a
constant.
sealed unit.
Pete,
Sealed.
it's sealed.
How are you going to do that?
Magic.
It can be done. It can be done.
I can lift a light box up in the air with helium balloons. Hold on, Pete.
Guys.
I thought you were talking about something practical.
Hold on, one thing, y'all. I can lift a light. If you take a real light box and you put a lot of balloons in it, you can lift the motherfucker off the ground. So don't tell me it's going to fucking not weigh less.
Right.
Yeah, but
No. Hang on a second. Like, look.
How are you gonna get a balloon into a vacuum, right?
It's not a vacuum. It's just an air in the box.
Hang on a second. Let me just
Gravity,
It's not a vacuum.
Pete.
Hold on, guys.
Okay.
Guys, it's not in a vacuum. Hold on, Jin.
May I?
Go ahead.
Thank you
Fine.
very
Go ahead.
much. The container has a fixed weight. Now it's making that lighter. It's a fixed weight. So you can't change the weight of the container. Then you put in all your balloons and the helium balloon and the air and whatever. You're increasing. If you can measure the gas and the balloon material, it's all increasing. The only thing is, helium has a property of lifting things up. Doesn't make things lighter because it's picking up whatever that thing weighs.
Yes, it does, Jin. Then how the fuck do? Wait a minute. Hold on, Jin. I don't know if that's true, because how the fuck do you lift?
Think about it.
The basket.
Think about
no,
it now.
Think about it.
Hold
on, Jin. Hold on. Hold on.
Let me finish.
I was in the middle of talking. So you've got a helium balloon, like one of those balloons that you go on a ride with, the big balloons with the basket attached. You attach that balloon to it. It makes the basket lighter, right? I know it's not a sealed container, but it does put upward pressure on it, relieving the force that was pushing downwards.
Listen, so we could have
a box right now on camera.
We could have a giant container. Go ahead, Brian.
I could do it right now on live on camera with helium. I got helium here. I got helium and
hold on, guys. Can you not hang on a second now?
I got helium and hydrogen here, man. If y'all want to see what happens, we can do it live.
Hey, Jin, Brian, you guys are gonna have to take turns. Go, Jin, go first, then Brian.
Oh, hold on, I just muted him.
No.
Okay, let me just say this. I got helium here and hydrogen. I got them both, Jen. If you want to see what happens, we can do it right here on fucking live fucking show.
Let's hear Jin's explanation. What do you think is happening, Jin? Exactly. Clarify. Okay.
Listen, the Glober's already told us that if we take the mass out of the fucking container, it's gonna weigh more.
But hang on, Jeremy. You just clarified that there's air in the container, right? So when you weigh a container, right, it's going to be the weight of the container. Who's talking? It's going to be the weight of the container and the air. When you push a balloon into the container, you're going to displace a certain amount of air, and because the helium balloon is lighter, right, than the air, then you're going to get a measurement on the that will be lighter.
Okay, can I just ask a couple of questions here? Right, we have a container, you're adding your balloon. So as far as I'm concerned, you have your container with the air molecules in there. It's sealed, but somehow we're managing to get this helium balloon in. So as far as I'm concerned, you're increasing weight anyway, and then the helium balloon is exerting pressure on the ceiling of the container, trying to lift it up. It's trying to lift up the whole container, isn't it? The container doesn't lose its weight. If it lifts it up, you're going to record it as it lifted 10 tons. That's what you're going to write down.
As in it weighed
10 tons.
Yeah, it weighed less.
50 pounds.
When we put the balloon in and it's lifting up, and it's lifting the pressure up. Hold on, Jen. When we put the balloon in,
you're wrong, Jen.
Jeremy, it didn't weigh
when
less.
we put the balloon in, hold on, guys.
The whole thing.
Jesus Christ. When we put the balloon, we got a container, right, filled with air.
Gordon,
we put the balloon in.
Look
Come
at
on,
the weight.
Jen.
Leave him talk, Jen, for God's sake.
Weightlifter. And a
Leave someone else talk, for God's sake.
It's fine. It's fine. I muted him. Now we got a container. It has a weight, right? We put the balloon in. Now there's pressure pressing up, trying to press it away from the scale. So now it's going to weigh less, even though we've just added mass. We've added a balloon. The weight of the balloon alone, it should have made it weigh more. But now it weighs less.
Where's that buzzing coming from? You guys hear? Hold on, guys. I keep getting some echo and some noise coming through.
It's Pete.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I think your microphone is echoing and shit, Pete.
I would hate to even waste helium, guys. I got the helium and I got the hydrogen. I would hate to even waste it. Because who doesn't know? Yeah, but let's think about this. I mean, if I put the box on the scale, okay, and I fill up the helium, right, in the balloon, who the fuck doesn't know that it's going to lose weight? I mean, wouldn't that be a waste of helium? I'm trying to build up a few tanks for my experiment, but I'm probably just gonna use hydrogen anyway. So I guess I could just use the fucking helium.
Yeah, but in the globe model, this doesn't make any sense because you're adding hold on, somebody's got an echo going.
It's not about the mass, Jeremy. It's about the vectors of
So I
force.
can add mass to a container and make it weigh less.
If you add a vector of force, yes.
No, you're adding potential. You're adding more potential whether you add the heat to the hot air balloon or the helium to the other balloon. You're forcing more helium under a greater potential of resistance. Yeah, so you're not making it weigh less in actuality, like Jen's saying, it still weighs what it weighs, but now you give it a greater potential to go against the resistance it had in the first place. That's what's going on.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Denmark.
No, he's talking
That's
about
what I'm
mass.
saying.
Yeah,
He should have said mass.
You don't even
No,
need the
that's-
balloon. All you do is have a box on a
Jim and
scale.
Denmark are not right. You're not right, guys, because
All you do
listen,
is add some helium to the box, right? Just add some helium to the box. You don't even need the balloon, and see what's going to happen. It's going to be lighter, isn't it?
Guys, stop talking over each other, please. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah. So if you just eliminate the balloon and you just add helium to the box, what's going to happen?
Gonna get lighter.
I'm talking about adding
helium.
right now, Brian.
Can I answer the question? The helium will lift up the box. But the box itself doesn't lose weight, does it? It's
Hold
on a minute. Jen, let me clarify.
It doesn't lose weight.
We're not talking about just the box itself. We're talking about the box and everything in the container. The box with everything in it sealed is sitting on the scale.
Right.
That's what you're talking about? Okay.
So before the helium was introduced, the box had a weight. Right? The box
You
had
think
a weight,
about it.
yeah? Yes.
It had a resistance.
I'm just trying to get it. Hang on a second. Can I look? If I'm weighing my body on a bathroom scale, okay, and I suddenly pull myself up from the bar slightly, am I weighing less? My body, even though I'm registering less on the scale.
Is it?
Am I weighing
That's how we're defining. That's why I wanted to clarify with you, Jen. We're defining weight as the downward pressure on the scale.
yes, you do weigh less.
Weight is a downward force, no?
No,
Yeah.
it's a resistance.
No. I'm defining it. What we're talking about right now. This is what I've been talking about the whole time. Is the downward pressure on a scale.
Is that not what weight is? The downward force?
No. The thing that holds you up.
Not you, Demok. You got some weird ass worldviews. I'm talking about the globers and shit. They got weird worldviews too, but
That's what I thought it was.
That's pretty close, Jeremy. Close enough.
the downward force. Okay, so we're gonna have less downward force even though we add more mass to the box.
You're talking about two different things.
Yes or no? Are we gonna have less less weight when we add more mass to the box?
No, you're not going to have less weight. What
Jesus
you've
Christ,
introduced
man.
is a dynamic gas. You've introduced a dynamic gas that has the potential to lift up.
So
you're reducing the
Can we
measurement
let
on the
the Glober
scale, but
try
the
to
whole thing is too
obfuscate-
heavy.
Can we let the Glober try to obfuscate this with his silver tongue, please?
Yeah, okay. I'll shut up then.
the way I would explain it is if you think about it like a math problem, and the equal sign is the scale. The scale is the equal sign, so whatever it reads is the summation of the vectors that are affecting it.
All right. Do we have an agreement that we are going to add mass to this box and it's going to weigh? Or no?
The mass doesn't matter.
Say yes, you son of a bitch, Kool-Aid.
The mass doesn't matter. It's the vectors of force.
Yeah, sometimes you better not speak.
Definitely adding mass. It's adding the mass of the balloon. It's adding the mass of the balloon and the helium.
So more mass, less weight.
Nope.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
He's saying.
You disagree with Kool-Aid, Chucky?
Absolutely disagree.
So if we have this sealed box, it's got air in it, and we start adding helium magically into the box without changing anything else, Is it going to weigh less or more?
What do you mean? What do you mean magically? Just pump helium into it.
Fine. We've got a way without messing with anything else to pump helium into the box however you want. We're not affecting it in any other way except getting helium into it.
On the scale, you put it in the scale, you weigh it, you take it off the scale, you pump it with the helium, you put it back on the scale. What's the problem here?
What you're saying is
Chaiki,
helium
just
is
fucking answer the question. So we got the box, we pump the helium in. Is it going to weigh less or more?
More.
What a doofus.
Yeah, doofus. Brian is here. He can fight.
Yeah, he might be right. No, he might be right because if you put helium under pressure, you can get it to have weight if you put it under pressure. But listen, if we're putting the mass of the balloon in the box and the mass of the helium, that's still more mass than the damn air. So it's still gaining weight, right? It's losing weight. It should still gain weight, but it'll lose.
Pressure, you're only counting the resistance of the pressure. It's just resistance exerted on the outside of that. That's all you're actually calculating.
I think we got to do this experiment to figure it out because we've got people on both sides who think something different.
Hang on a second, Brandon. So here's another consideration, that the pressure that the helium balloon exerts on the air left in the container, right, will equal the pressure that that's downwards will equal the pressure that's exerted upwards by the air on the helium balloon. So maybe it'll remain the same. Did anyone say that? It'll remain exactly the same.
Buoyancy. Buoyancy.
The weighing scales won't change at all because you have.
I see what you're saying. It's going to offset exactly.
Force, right?
Nope, Pete, you're the first one to say that. Pete is he's riding the fence big time.
Yeah,
what I thought was interesting, man, if anybody's seen that last video, man, where a dude, I've seen it on Action Labs, where he put a vacuum chamber. He put his vacuum chamber underwater. I don't know if y'all mentioned that yet, but to me, that's just as good as squeezing the walls together. If there's no mass in the balloon, there's no helium, no air, no nothing, and it still floated, and it floated even better, it seemed like. And then when he took the balloon and pulled it underwater, and even with no air, I mean, it was bubbling profusely, so you couldn't attribute it to boiling or the little tiny bit of air that was left in there at the top. There was a little tiny air bubble. It was boiling profusely, showing that just empty space is taking up space, period. It's something. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
More mass equals less weight. This is.
Do you know how when you have a helium
gravity? This is not according to gravity. This fits with a relative density model.
Jeremy, when you order a big bottle of helium for your workshop, do you know how they measure how much helium is in that bottle? They weigh it, don't they?
It's liquid though.
Yeah, but that's under pressure, man. That's under pressure. Okay, that's the same thing as the helium balloon dropping in the vacuum chamber. You got to use a real tough balloon and put a lot of helium in there and pressurize that balloon for it to fall. It doesn't want to fall.
Yeah, think about what you're saying. Think about what you're saying though. The helium is turning into a liquid because otherwise, how would a balloon lift off the ground? How would adding helium to anything make it weigh less if you could just put helium in a container and weigh it?
Because the more gas helium that's in it, the more buoyant force is going to be affected.
No.
Then how come a fucking balloon lifts off the ground? It doesn't make any sense, dude.
Because then there's more buoyant force.
No, it's a resistance.
Okay, so
force.
if I add helium in a gas form to a container, it's going to weigh less, right?
It depends on what's around that container and what the state of that container is. The container.
A full helium tank. Hang on, a full helium tank is heavier than an empty helium tank, right?
So it's relative. He just said it's relative. It's relative density.
Liquid. If they turn it into a liquid, then it's heavier, right?
So a good example is that if I have a scale that itself is a container, at the bottom of that scale is indeed what the container is, and I pour all that helium into there, I'm going to register at the bottom of that container.
How are you pouring helium?
No. The scale's underneath the container.
Okay, what I'm saying is that the container is a scale.
How do you pour helium?
You're changing it now.
Well, there's also,
the scale is underneath the container.
Okay, but now at this point, buoyant forces, depending on the material of that scale, or sorry,
How do
that
you
container, are
pour
going to be able to
helium?
act. Are going to be able to act on that container and potentially lift it off the ground.
If you poured helium, then the nozzle would be at the bottom, right, Maestri?
Well, you have to think about temperature as well. There's actually a device, because I've used these bottles. There's a device that they stick on the outside of the bottle, and it's not on a scale. It's just a device, and it can tell how much helium's left in that bottle without having it on a scale.
Yeah, but if it poured from the bottom, if you filled that container and it filled from the bottom up, then the nozzle would be at the bottom. So you take it from the bottom as opposed from the top. So
it depends.
The vector, the helium inside would still have a tendency to rise, right? So it should get lighter according to your own principles.
A helium if you put it in a container that doesn't have any other air in it or anything else in it, it's going to sink to the bottom.
So if it does, why don't you have the nozzle coming out from the bottom? So then the pressure would be, downwards, like water. That's what you're saying. That's not what happens.
Have you ever felt a helium bottle? They're icy cold, and when they get lighter, the temperature changes.
All right, very good. I thought though it took massive temperatures to get it down to liquid state. Maybe pressures can achieve the same thing. I don't think it's liquid inside in the helium.
I think it can. I think that's correct. That the pressure.
I'd also.
Okay.
Let me look that up.
Hold on. I'd also like to know if we say we have the same container, we got it on a scale. Then you put a helium balloon that's just floating. It's reached its equilibrium point. It'll just stay wherever you put it in air. What if we just put that right in the middle so it's floating? Is the box going to weigh more or less, the same? What? Leaky, break out your fucking helium tank. Stop being stingy with the helium.
Yeah, I might do that, man. But wait a minute. What's the final question? I want at least 2 globers to.
Oh, we can't hear you, Brian.
There's no stock left. NASA stole all the helium.
I'll break it out, but I want at least 2. I wanted at least 2 globers to go against the obvious. I mean, does anybody think that the box won't lose weight? What's the what do y'all want me to do exactly before I put it together?
I want you to spend the $50 I did on a new set of headphones so that you can talk properly to us.
What do you mean by lose weight? Like if you have a box on a box with like metal in it or something, make it heavy, and you pull up on it, it's gonna lose weight on the scale. It's gonna get lighter on the scale.
Joby,
what are you guys talking about?
Joby, I need your
That's
help,
what we're
man.
talking about. If you have a container, and then you add helium to it, is it going to be lighter or heavier?
Heavier.
Well, that's what you say.
Know.
We're talking about helium in gas form too, just to clarify.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say it's lighter.
Now they do this whenever they move helium, like in a truck. That's how they determine how much helium's in the truck, because they weigh it.
You just wake up? Is something wrong with you, Kosha?
Yeah, I did. I feel a little sick. I just had a mango though.
Yeah, exactly. You might be coming off of those drugs that are killing you, Jeremy. Come on, Jeremy.
I told you I was on Xanax.
That's the nanochip they put in your.
But yeah, they weigh it, the truck and tanks and stuff, and I do have to say that just when they add helium to a tank, it doesn't make it liquid. It doesn't make it liquid. It's not liquid unless it's a really high pressure.
No, I didn't think it did. Yeah.
But it does compress it at least, right? Doesn't it turn into a liquid when it compresses?
Well, I forget the exact pressure, but yeah. So it's not every tank or every container. So let me look. So
I'm looking for it right now. I can't find it.
Once it gets to about 16.5 psi, it's going to start gaining weight. It's relative density. Just think in terms of relative density. You could never go wrong, man.
Well, this is going to be a little bit of a tricky experiment to do. I mean, not that hard, because you have to make sure you don't change the amount of air inside the box and that it's completely sealed, and that it'll hold helium as well, and the ability to add the helium without changing anything else.
Yeah. That's magic.
Yeah,
You'll have to do some magic, Brian.
I got a tank. Listen, I got a tank. I was thinking about using a tire. Here, there's one way I could do it. I could do it with an inner tube. But I have a metal. I have 2 tanks here, like just one of them portable. Well, no, I got one now. But I got a portable air tank that I could add the helium to. But I don't have a scale sensitive enough. I have like a scale that'll weigh like I think almost like a pound. But it's gonna have to be sensitive. You know what I'm saying? But I could maybe use an inner tube and get a scale sensitive enough to show the weight loss.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Take a
How
bottle.
are you measuring the weight though? What's
you hit the
inside your
bottle.
scale is another question that you should always ask. You can't just leave it to be like, oh, the scale's right, it's God, whatever it says. That's not how it
It's
works.
best to keep it as a thought experiment.
So
right?
what's going on with the scale actually? The spring, the sensor, like what liquid, what kind of scale?
Put them on a seesaw.
It's a pressure scale. Like a bathroom scale.
I mean, you
Just put them on a seesaw. Then you put them on a seesaw. You don't have to worry about these things.
Because it's being
Hold on a
lifted
second.
Simple
When I take a spring, the thing the spring is doing is resisting whatever I do to it. It's trying to resist. So you're measuring the resistance of the spring. You're not measuring pressure. I don't know where we get this from, but
What are you talking
So, like,
about?
when you
Are you telling me that
Listen, I'll
stuff
tell
that
you, when you
is
sit on a
heavier
chair,
than
when you-
the medium it
when you
is
sit on-
doesn't
no,
put
I don't care
pressure
about all
up
that.
down? That's
Listen,
all I'm
when-
talking
when you
about is
put something
the
on a
pressure
spring,
that the object creates when
on
it's
a
in a
scale,
medium,
Holy
on a
shit.
that it's
scale,
more dense than.
None. I had to mute Democ. He's talking all the way through you.
I'm not sure well, I'm trying to understand what point you're trying to make, Demont. What is the distinction between pressure, describing weight
if I
as
sit you,
pressure?
because if I sit you on a chair, the thing I pull away from you for you to hit the ground is the thing that's resisting you. It's not the thing creating the, you know what I mean? So the resistor is the thing that we're working with, really, the chair. When we pull it away, that's when you fall, right? So the spring has the same effect as the chair. It's sitting there and you put something on it. Now you're counting the resistance in the spring. You're not really counting pressure exerted on the outside of a chair somewhere that doesn't exist.
This almost sounds like Chemo's argument that he makes when he says there's only a push force, no pull force.
Right. There is no outside. It's a resistance is all we have for anything. Resistance or non-resistance to that. Like it's not anything to do with what you think you feel on the outside of a chair or outside of your head on the top of the scale on the top of your head pushing down on you. It's not that.
I agree with that.
Okay,
man.
I'm okay with that. It seems like a little. It seems a bit of a semantic argument, but I guess I get what you're saying, that it's all resistance to other objects.
Well, it's the frequency of the Earth that determines the up from the down. Like I said, once again, that's been demonstrated. You could flip that shit upside down just by using a different frequency, and then it's resistance and pressure after that.
And you can still take the helium. A helium
frequency
balloon
of what?
can have a scale. Hold on. You can have a scale on the ceiling, and a helium balloon will do the same thing to that, pushing upward. You'll still get a resistance on the scale. You understand?
Like what kind of frequency though? Because
Like if you look at
frequency
shit
just
under a
means how many
microscope,
times
man,
the thing occurs.
if you look at shit under like an electron microscope,
frequency.
everything's vibrating and shaking, man. Everything is vibrating and shaking.
Put a
If you
scale
look
on
at
the
it,
ceiling.
Oh, hold on, I think Grim was trying to get in there.
No, I
Go
did.
ahead,
He
Grim.
heard me. He's answering. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, your mic's a little low for me. Maybe it's just me.
Oh, my bad.
Here, I got something for you guys. So I had the live stream, the launch, just playing in the background, and I was texting on another server. They talked about the overview effect. That's important to look at Earth and look at everything from a different perspective. And while they're saying that about try to look at things from a different perspective and be better off for society. It'll be better off for humanity. It'll be better off for the Earth. They're
Yeah,
in
look
there
at it from
talking
my
about
perspective, is what they mean.
yeah, look from their
That's not the.
their perspective only. Because while they're
That's
doing that, all these text trolls are just shit talking me about how I'm bitter, how I'll call it fake. I go, you guys can't even play it straight
You
for
are
a
bitter.
launch.
That's
Well,
not.
you are bitter, but I mean that's not the point.
That's not
They
the
always want to
overview
point
effect,
out, like
though.
they tell me I'm crazy. I'm like, yeah, but what about the argument, right? Because we know I'm crazy, so you
So
know, point
we
out
had
the
to hear.
bullshit.
So we had to hear Crit story while we were in debate about something. Right?
Yeah, at least 3 or 4 times a show. Yeah, it's good. It's all right.
But Crit, the overview effect. Overview effect is not a general. It's a very specific effect. It's what's his name? Scott's uncle Edgar Mitchell first came up with it, and it's the phenomena that they express. That they say that when they go up in space and they see Earth for the first time as a single object that they're outside of, it's this sensation they get about everything being connected, and it's this whole weird it's this feeling they get. But yeah, it's specific to that.
You get the same feeling when you're just flying in a plane looking down at Los Angeles. It looks really small, like cancer on the earth.
I was going to say we all have the ability to watch high altitude balloon footage now, and they're pretty
They go
profound.
22,000. They're lying through their fucking teeth, dude. They got to go 22,000 miles to see the fucking horizon shrink together. To see the entire half of the hemisphere, mathematically, they got to go 22,000 miles high. They're lying through their fucking teeth.
Well, Edgar Mitchell went to the moon, so he went about 10 times further than that.
Imagine you could only go 60 miles up in a vertical direction from anywhere on Earth. That's what I actually think. Imagine that, as opposed to 22,000 miles, 250,000 miles, 93 million miles, 14 million light years. Unbelievable when you're going to go 60 miles up.
Yeah, that is really
sure, once
something
we do the
actually when you
math-
think about it. And they're all cheersing each other and acting like they solved cancer earlier this year when they went 60 miles up. So like absolutely fucking nothing. But
do the angular mass.
We've devolved when it comes to space travel. We've devolved. Human space travel. We've devolved. No question.
Dude, they're talking about angular size of all these things and trying to measure it.
Our
Measure
brains are
Aristarchus
shrinking.
crater 60 miles across and see if it matches your fucking angular size. It doesn't, man. You could see that with the naked eye. You can make out
SpaceX
Aristarchus
is-
crater 60 miles wide.
That's within the angular resolution of the eye. But I'm not Edgar Mitchell. SpaceX is sending civilians up in an hour or so.
Oh really?
Oh shit.
Math, it's Aristarchus' crater is only 25 miles wide, and it came out to be 0.0066, right? You calculated that?
I forget. I forget, but yeah, it was like 0.01 is the angular resolution. So
0.02.
Someone
Well,
mentioned
between-
Aristarchus.
between
and it wasn't
0.0.
In an hour, so T minus 60 minutes.
Well, that's going to change everything.
Is SpaceX going to be launching that self-landing rocket with these 3 astronauts in it, or is it going to be dumped in the Bermuda Triangle?
They're going to be orbiting. They're going to be orbiting for about 3 days. They're going higher than the space station. They're going like 300 miles or something like that.
Oh, they're coming back down.
I don't know, but 3 days, yeah.
There's something that's
Oh, I would
probably
say
filled
3
with
days.
helium, right? The Falcon 9. That's probably filled with helium. Makes it easier to maneuver and get to where they wanted to go.
I
How
gotta
they
say, those
breathe on
suits
the
are
helium.
ugly as fuck. They just don't look cool to me.
The helmet looks like a urinal.
Hey, Kosho, ain't they supposed to be weightless? Like, ain't they supposed to be like falling around the Earth, basically keeping up, going fast enough for gravity? If that's what's making them weightless, they're falling around the Earth. Why didn't they have gravity on the straight shot to the moon? What they do? Circle their fucking way to the moon? They would have had gravity.
Yo, why don't we?
because they're no
Have
longer,
we ever seen a helium?
hold on, they're no
balloon
longer
on
falling around the. If they're no longer falling around the Earth, then unless they were slowing down the whole entire way, but that I don't think that's the case.
Have we ever seen
falling,
it?
they
Have
were
we ever
falling,
seen him play
they were
with?
falling towards the moon. Once they
Have
stopped
we ever
falling.
seen? Have we ever seen him play with helium balloons on the ISS?
Oh,
I don't know. It's a
Why
good
would
question.
Why would they do that?
that would be a good one.
Yeah.
Why would they
feel
do
like
that?
you're
Why do they
standing
grow
on your
lettuce
head?
every 2 years?
I feel
Wouldn't
like
it feel
why
like you're
haven't
standing on your head the
scientific
whole way back
principle.
from the moon? Like
why haven't
right? If you're going straight back
What?
from the moon, wouldn't it feel like you're standing on your head the whole way?
Why it has to be helium, Jeremy?
No, seriously, because
I'm just saying, have we ever
gravity from
seen him
Earth
play?
holds the moon.
What's the
We
significance of helium?
Bigelow makes inflatable space modules. Bigelow's aerospace.
I mean, you don't think it's weird, Strike, that we've never seen him playing with helium
I
balloons
said,
on
what's the
ISS?
significance? We see them play with metal tools that don't fall. Why do I need the helium
Yeah,
balloon?
but
Well, so
why
it's
would they waste it for that?
a metal tube shaped helium balloon. Could be.
Why, well, there'd be nothing significant about using helium than just blowing it up with their mouth or whatever.
If
Metal
metal don't
shaped helium
fall,
balloon, absolutely. How do you think? Yeah, how do you think the movies work? I mean, these are all tricks that could
No,
easily.
seriously, I don't. Yeah, it would probably be more effective to have the surface charge of the outside of the craft in a particular charge than worrying about the kind of gas that's on the inside.
Which way would the helium go? To the floor, to the back, to the side, to the front?
It wouldn't do anything. It do the same thing all the other stuff does.
It just sit there like helium would just sit there like right in the center. That's cool to know. Thanks.
Is that what it would do? No, it would
moon,
disperse, right?
This is a real question. Like if you're traveling back from the moon, right? The moon behind you, the Earth at the tip of the rocket, wouldn't it feel like you're standing on your head the whole way back?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're still gonna be moving, or it's still gonna be freaking.
Well, that's something I don't think these guys are thinking of, right? Because there's still
Never
gravity,
mind.
right? There's gonna be gravity.
Never mind your equilibrium. Don't worry.
Where's the gravity? Where's the gravity coming from? There's no gravity.
Of course, if the moon is locked, if in their model, the moon is locked onto the Earth by gravity, right? So we obviously have Earth gravity.
You're strapped in your seat. You're strapped in your seat, aren't you?
Are you?
Any way you look at it, you have to have gravity on the way back. Any way you look at it. Especially when you
No,
got
not any way you look at it. Any way you look at it, when if you're orbiting the Earth and you're not going to the moon, then you're just falling towards the Earth and moving tangentially.
Right.
And if you're coming back from the moon to the Earth, you're still in an orbit around the Earth.
Oh God.
The only time that you would feel a force is if you were accelerating.
I don't know. You're not.
No.
Is that right?
Does it follow you? So when you're rocking the moon, does the moon keep moving around the Earth?
Shut up.
The moon is moving pretty fast.
Right?
Right?
If you jump off a building in a box until you hit the ground, you're going to be in free fall, and you're not going to experience falling against the top or the bottom or anything.
What we're
If
saying
you
is
extend that box to the moon and that box is falling towards the Earth, it's the same thing. You're not
Would
going
we
to be.
see the box flying towards the Earth and then see the moon like go around the horizon?
Yeah, it's just
The
ridiculous.
fuck did you just say, Kosha?
No, if they're saying that the speed of gravity is the speed of light, then the speed of gravity is continuously pulling you no matter how fast you think you're going in the jet towards the Earth.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Exactly.
So you're still going faster than the fucking jet. So you're still going to feel a force, a net force over the force of what you're feeling is going to be gravity. You're going to feel gravity.
What it means
Right?
is
So you're going to get a headache.
Grim,
Gravity
you
doesn't
draw them all,
exist either, so that's just
and
BS straight off
you
the
draw
bat.
them all and color code them,
I'm
right?
saying from the narrative, right? From the standard narrative, this is a thing you would expect from their,
When you're in an elevator, an elevator's free falling. Everything in the elevator
We
is
ain't
falling at the
free-falling,
same
though.
rate.
Forces,
And
Coach.
But we ain't
uh,
free
it's not gonna
falling.
crash. It's not going to crash against the top or the bottom or anything until it hits the ground.
Not
That's
free
when you're gonna
falling.
feel it.
Free falling is is acceleration. So you're saying that the rocket itself, when I'm propelling towards the Earth at the rocket's speed, as fast as the rocket could go, but the speed of gravity. Listen, the speed of gravity far exceeds the speed of that rocket. I never reached the, right. So the speed of gravity should be, what?
The
Do
only
the
time you're gonna
calculation. You'd be
You
going
have
3
parabolic
days at
flight
the
of
speed of
gravity is the
fucking
speed of light.
gravity. You're near the speed. Yeah, 3 days at the speed of gravity. You're like half the speed of, or a third of the fucking speed
You
of
can't
light
outdo the speed
already.
of light.
Okay,
It only takes
hold
about
on.
a fucking month.
Hold
It
on
only
a
takes
second.
about a month, really. I think. What is it?
Mark,
About a month to get to the speed of light?
no, the speed
Less than a
of
month?
the speed of light. The speed of light in reference to gravity is just the speed that the information of the mass is able to reach something to have an
Yeah, I
effect on.
understand. How fast?
But it doesn't pull you. It doesn't
How
pull you like that.
fast? You don't. How do you know? I mean, who's ever tested that?
Because
The limit?
there's an equation for how fast
It's not
it's
a.
going to pull you.
Well, yeah, nice. Thank you for making an equation, but you didn't actually do an experiment that can test the speed of gravity.
Wi-Fi.
Hold
Right?
on,
The
D-Mac.
ultimate speed of gravity.
Dropping something at free fall on the Earth is the same effect as dropping something far away from the Earth towards the Earth. It's gonna experience the same
But I'm not
thing.
dropping it, right? I'm driving it. I'm driving it slower than the speed of gravity.
Well, yeah, if you're accelerating at all at any point in that flight, then that acceleration is gonna cause you to feel a force. But when you're coming back from the moon,
Let's use numbers. They're easy ones, right? Let's just say we're coming back at 1,000 miles an hour. The speed of gravity is 3,000 miles an hour. Let's be real ridiculous about it, right?
what are you talking about? The
So
speed
I'm
of
feeling
gravity?
2/3 the speed of gravity.
Yeah,
I'm feeling
the speed of
2/3 the force of gravity still on my head. It still feels like I'm standing on my head because I'm not falling as fast as the fall of gravity. I'm falling slower, and the net force pulling on my body is pulling on me through the speed of my travel.
So once
I'm
they're
headed
already
towards the
falling,
object.
once they're falling towards the Earth, they're not accelerating their thrust to make themselves go even faster as they're coming towards the Earth. They're just
Why?
falling towards the Earth.
No, they
Why?
actually
There's
are.
still a
They're not
force pulling on them.
trying to get there faster. They're already
Yeah,
in
but
orbit around the Earth.
let me
They don't
let
need
me
to
see if
waste
I
energy to
understand.
do that.
Let me see if I understand what you're saying, Graham. So you're flying back from the moon towards the Earth in your rocket. You're going 1,000 miles an hour. The gravity is still pulling on you, even though you're going 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, it wants to pull faster than that because the speed of gravity.
Why
is
doesn't
like
it pull you faster? So
light.
it should. Yeah. So
It
yeah,
does
you're
pull you.
absolutely right.
It's
It
the
shouldn't
only thing
matter.
That's what's making you come back to Earth. You're not. They don't use thrust. They don't waste energy trying to come back. They use the fact that they're already falling back towards the Earth. Once they extend the orbit from the moon, and they have the orbit going towards the
Well,
Earth,
why wouldn't they
all
fall
they're
towards
doing
the
is
sun?
falling back towards the
The
Earth
sun's
at
got
that
more
point.
gravity. Why wouldn't they just fall towards the sun when they got off their moon then?
Well, why
Well,
not
hang
do
on,
an
hang on.
overview effect?
They are
Wouldn't
falling
the
towards
sun
the
have a
sun.
much greater gravity?
Yeah, the Earth
Just
is already
over.
orbiting the sun.
It doesn't
Or
really
not.
The
matter.
Earth is already doing that.
They're not falling towards Earth as such because everyone forgets about Michael Collins on the main.
Okay, Kosho's
rocket,
right.
He had to go around and around while Neil Armstrong was playing golf on the moon. So he just keep going around and around. Can you imagine coming out of the dark side of the moon and looking for the spot where you left the two lads? You'd be fucked. But no, it's that momentum that's used to drive them back towards the Earth as well. So it's not just purely Earth's gravitational pull. But my question would be. Briefly, would be as they're leaving Earth's orbit, I think it's 25,000 miles an hour, and you're approaching the moon from a certain distance, right? How do you slow down? How do you slow down? Or
Yeah,
if
good
you had a
point.
way to slow down, how do you calculate exactly how much you're slowing down? Or how do you calculate your speed?
That's a good
What
point, B.
equation do you use to
That's a good
calculate
point.
how much thrust you should use in the opposite
You
direction?
go in
Use
against
math.
you go in against
Oh.
the spin of the Earth. It'll slow you down.
Listen, I want to know why
Like-
we ain't seen no. I want to know why we haven't seen any fucking helium balloons. That's we love helium balloons in this arena. We could see the thing with the car. Remember how if you stop in a car
Yeah,
and
Jeremy, why would that happen? Why would that be something that happens on the ISS? They don't do that. And that car, he was accelerating and decelerating, to show you that effect.
all right,
In order
an
to show you
ISS
that,
orbiting Earth, right?
Are you
An
good?
yeah,
ISS
it's orbiting the Earth, and
hold on.
they apply thrust like once a month or whatever. They're not going to blow up a helium balloon just to do something at that
When
moment.
you're orbiting, you have constant acceleration. So we would just see the balloon just sit there.
It's not the same kind of acceleration, dude.
Why
You're
not?
talking
You're
about,
supposed to keep accelerating until you reach the speed of
It's all
light, right?
magical, guys. It's magical stuff that you can never
You're free falling that
So
whole
different
time, then you should be
acceleration.
accelerating.
Hold
What
on.
do you mean
They
different?
came up with
Demo.
an equation and a calculation, right, to get this shit and to do it right and to pressurize their shit. Now they don't know anything. Thanks, Coach Joe.
Yeah, you're
Jeremy.
talking about we're
So
talking
how
about
do you stop
changing.
speeding up when you're falling in free fall?
Jeremy,
But how come?
you see
How
what
come those?
everything else is
Right?
doing, right?
No,
Well,
no,
Nothing
I'm asking you a real
falls.
question. 24,000 miles is about the ceiling, right? The limit. How do we
Yeah.
stop from going any faster than that if we're already in free fall?
How about those
Wouldn't we have
Indian
to constantly
satellites?
have a jet burner, an afterburner, a retro burner? Wouldn't we constantly have to burn one? We'd be
What
burning
about
one
Indian
constantly.
satellites with parachutes on?
That top speed experienced by the Apollo mission, that top speed was actually experienced because they were free falling towards the Earth. That was the speed that was the speed right as they were re-entering the Earth's atmosphere.
What was the top speed?
How? What type of?
25,500 miles per hour.
Of instrument do
Wow.
they?
So you're saying that that's the speed of gravity. The top speed of gravity is 25,000 miles an hour then?
Hold on. So Felix Baumgartner could have fell at that speed?
No, that was the top speed that the Saturn V experienced with the people in it.
I know, and it
could have
was in
possibly
free
gone
fall.
faster, sure, but that was
Oh,
the top
but it
speed.
is?
That is.
Okay.
Coach,
So
How do you
The
slow it
speed of
down from
gravity
going
is about
faster?
11 kilometers per second.
So you got no resistance, and you got the Earth's gravity, the core pulling you to it. So
You got
you
me.
can only go 5,000. That's pretty slow, right? When you had to go 24 to break Earth's crust, right?
Okay,
I mean,
Coach, can you answer this?
You said 25, but yeah.
Can you answer this question? On a jet airplane, what type of speedometer instrument do they know? Do they use to know their speed? Compared with up in space, what type of speedometer do they use to know they're going 17,000 miles an hour? What's the difference?
Well, we were talking about this the other day with the airplane. They use several instruments, and
It's not the
with
same in an airplane, right?
Not at
No, I
all.
meant with
In a
the
vacuum, how do you tell your
Hey,
speed?
Kosho, did you just wake up or something? You sound like you're groggy.
no, I didn't just.
Oh no,
I just
that's
had
how
a
you
meeting.
always sound.
So what sensor would you use in a vacuum to find your speed?
There is no sensor. They're just guessing, man.
No, they're not just guessing.
Right, because if there's no vacuum,
they-
there's no resistance. Therefore, you would
He's
get no
pretty
reading.
sure. He's pretty
would
sure
have
they're
to
not just guessing.
Gyroscopes and accelerometers and stuff like that, but I'm not sure the
No.
exact instrument.
No, you wouldn't get a reading in
That's a tough
vacuum.
question, isn't it? That's why I asked it. Because you would need to know exactly.
You could tell your
because you have
direction,
to-
but how could
hang
you
on,
tell
you're
your
trying
speed?
to
Yeah.
you're trying to intercept the orbit of the moon, right? And you're also trying to take into account the gravity of the moon as you approach it. So you need to have an exact speed as you're going around. Because remember, the main craft went around and around while the lander jettisoned off and landed for a few days, and then had to rejoin it. So you need to know exact speeds and locations especially actually.
Exactly. All this shit has to be of a spacefaring people that know how to travel through space and already have. So, how do you know the speed in a vacuum, Coach? So, can you show us that?
You use radio waves to be able to bounce it off of things on Earth. And
No, I asked you to, I said, can you demonstrate that? Not can you tell us another story of your 5 million
you just
story?
said, how do you do it? And I also posted an article of how you do it.
Yeah,
they
you
did
got
it
a
on
lot
the
of
way to the
articles
moon.
about dinosaurs existing too, but what we need is a demonstration of you riding one. So, do you have a demonstration of a vacuum chamber?
Oh, sure. Yeah, here you go.
Show us how fast you're going.
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
So
What's
how-
Black
so how
Swan
you
about?
doing?
RC, what's the argument Black Swan about?
I just don't comprehend how you could tell your resistance in a place of no resistance. How could you get the resistance meter of it? You have to test the resistance of the medium to get your speed.
Demok.
Wait.
You have
Demok fast.
you had two things at a time. So here you go. You ask, how do you do it? I posted the article for how you do it, and now I'm posting a demonstration of it being done.
Yeah, well, explain it. With no, there's no resistance right here, right now.
You
How
just
do we,
literally told me not to explain it. So which one do you want, Demok?
Explain it. Explain it. How did
Well,
it on the
Demok
way to the
I
moon?
did explain it, and then Demok said, "Don't explain it."
Okay, explain it again. How they did it on the way to the moon?
Why do I have to repeat myself?
Well, you
Well, I
just
mean,
asked him, which is it?
but
Do you
I
want
don't
me to
get what you're
explain
saying.
it or?
I
post
did
it? And
explain
we
it,
asked you
and
to
then
explain it
Demok
again.
said, "I did explain it," and then Demok said, "Don't explain it. Show me."
Okay, so just explain it and show. So you're already after
I
showing
did.
and explaining.
I did.
Explain it again, please.
Why? Why am I like having to
Fly
repeat
to the
myself?
moon. Let's talk. Man went to the moon in 1969. How
Listen,
did they?
listen.
how
You're
did they do
here.
that?
You're our monkey. You're our monkey. Dance for us. Otherwise, get the fuck out of here.
If that technology is more recent, how did they do it on the way to the moon?
There's also the question of there's also
the way that they told
Yeah,
speed
yeah.
on the way to the. Are you
Yeah,
guys
no,
gonna
it's
let me
not.
answer or what?
It's not just about the speed. Hang on, it's not just about the speed that you have to measure in a vacuum. How do they know the altitude above the Earth, above the moon?
They don't
They
because
use
there's no
they use
resistance.
they use radio waves to be able to do
Yeah,
that.
radio waves through no resistance.
You guys sure have to buy into a lot of stuff to go along with
Dude,
this
don't
shit. You know that?
Radio
I mean,
on the
did
other
they
side of the
extend-
ionosphere.
Did they extend the
band do
antenna?
they use then?
Did they extend the antenna to fire off the radio
You don't
waves at the
exactly
moon
have
from
to
100,000 miles away?
All right, yeah, don't. Yeah, just talk over me. It's fine.
Moon was also moving in orbit as the rocket left Earth's orbit, so it was traveling fundamentally in a straight line pathway. How did it keep path of the trajectory?
Brandon, you don't have to buy into the technology of a radar gun. You can freaking show how radar gun works.
Yeah,
so yeah,
I'm
we
not
do know how to
talking
use
about radar.
we do know how to use radio waves to measure the speed of things.
Yeah, I'm not talking about using radio waves to measure anything.
That's what I'm talking about. And you said you sure do have to buy into a lot of
No,
things.
you just tried to minimize the whole thing. We're talking about
No,
them
you
going in a
tried-
tin
you
can,
tried- you tried to
240,000
dismiss it.
miles through an endless vacuum. When the
Yeah.
fucking Earth's going one direction, the moon's going around it, that all that shit's going around the sun. It's ludicrous, dude.
There's no up from down.
Well, if he's driving, right, and him and a rock get closer and closer to each other and he shoots his radar, what's going fast, him or the rock?
Ooh.
Well, it's all relative.
Exactly, the rock was sitting there. So now how fast is the moon going?
Yeah. How fast was the Earth going?
Exactly, it's just sitting there, right? It's all relative, right? It's not going anywhere at any speed, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So they're just it's all guesswork playing with movement and numbers.
You're not doing guesswork when you're actually measuring the speed using radar.
As long as they have an equation,
might be
you
if
know,
you're-
that's all that
yeah.
matters. If you can make it an equation out of it, then you're good.
No, Brandon. What actually matters is you being able.
Might
to
be
do
if
it and
you're
verify
not really knowing how fast the Earth is actually already moving, following the sun, and then the spin of the Earth also. The land is just moving, and so you're fucking trying to find out not where on Earth you're going, but where Earth itself, right? So it gets a little different. You're mixing in now new variables that you normally wouldn't have to from inside that reference frame.
The only way that radar could work is if it was on a very close proximity. It's just like you can't have a police officer sitting up on a hill about 5 miles away and give you a speeding ticket from a radar because they can only work on a very short distance.
Why do you say that?
Could we use refraction to get out of a
Well-
speeding ticket? I feel like if you guys can get out of us falsifying
Yes.
the globe, I should at least be able to
Oh,
get
yeah,
out of
definitely.
a speeding
Try
ticket.
it, Jeremy. Try it. Let's see if
Definitely.
it's holding
Just
form.
don't do it to the cop. Do it in court, above the cop's head. See, don't try it on the car. Don't listen to fucking Chody. I mean, Chikey. Fucking Chody. Don't listen to this dude.
No, listen to
do
me.
it. Take it to
Do
court and be
what
like,
we
hey,
tell
man.
you. He
So
will
I got a
reimburse
paper
you
here
for
that
all your-
shows that
all
swamp
your,
gas can affect
losses
light.
before.
You're using a laser radar system, meaning that your laser radar system, due to refraction, is giving an improper value for my speed. And I would like to rebuke this in court. Can we remedy this situation? And it will be thrown out of fucking court, probably.
Wouldn't it make it seem you go like you were going slower though?
No. Refraction changes the direction of the light, but what the radar gun is looking for is the dot effect, which is going to be dependent on speed.
Which
Listen,
can be
here's a
altered
question.
by the refraction.
I don't think
Here's
so.
a question, right? So you need a certain amount of fuel or force to accelerate the rocket to achieve escape velocity, right? So that's calculable and using familiar equations. You need the same amount of force to stop when you're in space, and I know the answer you're going to give. And if you don't, how do you calculate exactly how much force you need to put in the opposite direction to make it slow down or even stop? Because it's not going to be the same as we're in the
you're not
atmosphere.
using-
What equations do you use?
You're not using escape velocity. You're extending your orbit around the Earth. You're just extending your orbit to a distance that is where the moon is. And so
more like a
They
trust
had to
velocity.
slow down to get to the moon. They had to slow down Kosho to get to the moon, to get into the
you slow down when
into
you slow down when you get there to shorten your orbit. So now that orbit is just going around the moon.
That just makes no sense.
That makes
I
no
just
sense.
want to know.
Absolutely.
Well,
I
if
just
you
want to
had
know.
one,
I want to
if
know
you
where Kosho got his rocket.
You're moving at 18,000 miles per hour in space. How do you slow down?
You know, if you're so clever
1,000
about
miles per hour. How do
then
you
you'd be a
slow
problem
down?
scientist.
I guess you have thrusters in the front of the ship.
Yeah, you throw bricks out from in front of you.
So
Second law.
They carry a bunch of bricks.
Second law, yeah.
just to sum that whole thing up earlier with the container and the balloon, we can know after this that not all mass has weight, right?
But all
Yep. That's according to Kool-Aid.
Because inertial mass.
Not all mass has weight.
Because light.
Depending on the medium.
Maybe space time's been another way for it.
According to Kool-Aid.
Maybe space time's been another way. Well, Chuck, do you think the box?
Jeremy, you're gonna love this.
I
Jeremy.
did say yes.
Jeremy, you're gonna love this.
I looked into it. I was
I
wrong.
don't know about
Photons,
space.
the original way I was
Photons are
thinking about it was
Don't know
not.
about
Guys,
space.
we can't hear anything.
can't
Calm
vouch for
down.
space
I know
because
what I
I've been
say
up
is
there,
very
but
riveting, but
weight
everyone
acts
calm down
differently
and
in
stop
water
talking over
and
each other, please.
differently in
Jen,
Sorry?
Jeremy,
there was
you're
like
gonna love
4
this.
people. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jen. Say it again. Well, hold on. Jen and Grim.
Right. Do you want to go, Grim?
Oh, it was just a quick joke.
Okay.
Now, a photon is
Can I get
spelled
into?
Fauxton. Photon. Okay, go ahead.
I looked into it. I was wrong.
Say, wait.
I
that was pretty.
the way
that
I,
was pretty
the
good
way I
joke,
was
Graham.
the way I was thinking about the gas thing was wrong.
So you're
I
saying okay, so you're saying we put the balloon in the box, it's pressing up on the box and it's gonna weigh more.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Seriously?
The way I was thinking about it originally
Because
with the balloon on the outside of the box, and
Jeremy.
it just changed.
Jesus.
That must have got stuck in Kool-Aid's grow. Were you wrong about this? The ocean navigated 600 square miles is flat. Were you wrong about that as well?
I am
He
still
was.
asking for the citation about
I
that.
let
and
Grim,
I've yet to be
Grim
provided
go
it.
first, and then I become last. Is that right?
Yeah, Jen
Yeah,
got
somehow
skipped
he
over.
got
Go ahead,
skipped.
Jen.
Yeah, somehow Jen got skipped.
First, and then I
This is your time to shine. Go ahead, Jen.
my. You see what I mean? Yeah.
You board botted. Start over.
Your mic's a little low, but go ahead.
Now let's have some silence just a second. Right, let's have some silence just so I can get my word out. This. You have your container that weighs 10 pounds. Okay? Then you put your helium in there. That's trying to pick up that 10 pounds. So the 10 pounds becomes lighter now. It still weighs 10 pounds, doesn't it? Doesn't it not? Does it not?
Would you not agree that the helium balloon is going to be pressing on the top of the container, pushing it up?
Most certainly it's at the ceiling of the
Why do you
lifting, giving it buoyancy.
So why do you
means
think
that the helium balloon? Hang on, the helium balloon has now picked up 10 kg. It still weighs the same, but the properties of the gas is
what makes you think
enabling the thing to go up because it's lighter than air.
What makes you think it's going to weigh the same when we now have something pressing up on the box?
Jeremy, why
Yeah,
you say
but I already
weight?
clarified
We
this.
don't care about weight, okay?
Hold on a minute. Hold on, Jen. I already clarified this earlier. We're talking about the downward pressure of the box on a scale underneath it.
Weight
yes,
is a
the
downward
materials
force.
themselves haven't changed.
That would be its weight.
Yeah.
Forget its weight. The pressure on the scale. We're talking about the pressure on the scale.
We're talking about weight,
whatever you
downward
want.
force.
No, we don't talk
downward
about
force.
weight, Jeremy.
Yes, weight, downward force. Yes.
No, we're talking about
That's
the
what your
pressure
weight
on
is.
the scale. We don't care how we call it. Pressure on
Your
the
weight
scale.
is downward force. We're going to have less downward
If you don't
force.
care how you call it, then we call it weight.
Call it
For the
weight
record.
then. Yeah, but Gene says weight doesn't change. So
You're gonna
for
have
Gene's
you're
sake,
gonna have less downward force.
So
You're
hold
gonna have
on,
less
hold on a
downward
second.
force
that's what you say,
when you
Gene.
introduce
Thank
Okay,
you.
hold on, Chike. Are you saying that the box is going to
No,
weigh
no, he
less?
clarified.
Hold on, Jen. Chike, are you saying that the box is going to weigh less when we have the balloon pressing up on it?
The box going to exert more pressure on the scale.
So you think it's going to weigh more? You think we're going to put this balloon in it? It's going to be pressing up on against the top of the container. It's going to weigh more.
Balloon, no balloon, yes.
Are you adding more? Are you adding more helium into the balloon or no?
The only reason things
I'm still
become
confused
buoyant.
about this fucking experiment.
Hold on a second. Let's hear what Coach show. Is the box going to weigh more or less?
It's gonna weigh more, man, because the box isn't it's not flexible. It's not gonna expand or anything like that.
Hey, what if I have a
Stays
super?
the same.
Yeah, what if I have a super light box?
No,
hold on. What if I have a super light box and I put a giant fucking balloon in it, and the box is now floating off of the scale?
No, it's gonna,
Did it float before?
it's just gonna go up.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Imagine this. In order for you to really get an intuition for this, dude, imagine a box that is I don't know, made out of wood, made out of whatever the fuck, clear plastic, and it's 6 inches on each side, right? And you have this clear box. It has a weight. Hold on, Jen. Hold on, Jen. Jen, hold on. It has some weight. Without the air, it has some weight. Jen, stop talking, dude.
You're next, Jen. You're next.
It's got some weight to it without the air, okay? Now, if you imagine the weight of that box with the weight of the air inside of it, put it on a scale, that's the weight you're going to read. Now, in a perfect vacuum, so not even helium, without any air in it at all, a perfect vacuum, that's going to be the most buoyant it could possibly be, okay? You put that on the scale, the fact that the only thing it's going to weigh now is going to be the same weight of the box without that air, but it's not going to be more buoyant or anything. It's like perfectly like it's not going to be enough to lift the box. You see what I'm saying? Like just because there's not air in it, it has to actually expand in order for you to get this buoyant effect.
All right, Jen. Then I got something to say about what you said. Go ahead, Jen. All right, I have something to say about what you just said. I put a balloon. Hey, don't stand on that, please. I put a balloon. Picture a cardboard box, right? We got the cardboard box, and it's got a weight on the scale. Then we put a balloon in it. I put a balloon so fucking big that the box is barely even touching the scale now. Like a corner of it is just touching the scale. It almost wants to go up. You're telling me it's now gonna weigh more?
Yeah, but the scenario you just made up is not a scenario you experience in real life. Like you're saying, it's a cardboard box.
I can't put a balloon in a cardboard box.
Do you think that a vacuum? Do you think that
Are you telling me I
vacuum?
can't put a balloon in a cardboard box? Who's
No,
talking
you can
about
put a
vacuum?
balloon in a cardboard box, but do you think that's going to make it lift?
Why wouldn't
If you get a cardboard box light enough.
Brian, have you a cardboard box?
If I get a big enough balloon and a light enough cardboard, we're not going to get a triple
Yeah,
corrugated.
if you get a light enough box. But we talked about this in Gems a long time ago. We were talking about a vacuum lift instead of having a helium balloon, like a vacuum balloon, to see like how much you could lift up. But in order to create something like that, it had to be so light that it was going to actually lift. But if it was that light, it wouldn't be that strong. So cardboard is definitely not light enough. I mean, it'd be hard to think of something that would be light enough. The reason why balloons do this is because they're so thin, and also they expand whenever you put this gas in them.
Big balloon, Kosho.
Hey, I've got a
paper bag.
I've got a question for Pete. We were talking about the path that Orion or Apollo took to the moon earlier.
Yeah.
And Pete, I'd like to get your thoughts on this image of the path that they took, and if you see any meaning in it.
Are you going to post the same thing that I'm just looking for now? Let me see.
I don't see it.
You don't see it, yeah.
The penis shaped one.
Oh, I didn't even notice that, Kosho. That's amazing that you picked that out of this picture.
I noticed that fucking.
I haven't seen it yet. I've seen somebody.
I noticed.
Wait, are you sharing your screen?
I pointed it
Am I
out
not?
on forums
Yeah.
back when I saw it.
I thought you posted it.
No, we see you got the big penis up.
Yeah, there you go. It's in your face.
And that
Cock
little
and balls in your
spermy,
face.
little
That's oddly
spermy.
shaped. That's actually oddly shaped. That's more like a butt plug.
well, that's a new one on me. I would never have made that association.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's, I mean, that's the. I mean, it's unfortunate to guess that they made it like that, but I mean, submarines look like that. I don't know if it's exactly found. I guess because the moon's moving, so they're trying to just draw it accurately.
Yeah,
That
sure.
alongside
Can't,
Jeff Bezos.
I'm sure
I've
that
seen-
they
I-
didn't do
my
this on
cock doesn't
purpose
look
at all.
like that, so.
But does your butt plug look like that, Kosho?
It kind of does, yeah.
Put that alongside Jeff Bezos' effort there, and you know how many times are you going to say no? And it just doesn't look like a dick.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? That P about the extending the orbit. They're going orbit around the Earth, and then they extend that orbit, and then they get to the moon, and then they just shorten that orbit again.
Yeah, we've
Simple
heard
as
the
that.
stories. We got
Simple
it.
as that. Very easy. They winged it, Brandon. They winged it on the way to the moon. Just wing it. Fuck it. Wing it.
I can't believe they're saying the box weighs more when I put the helium
Eyeball
balloon in it and it's pressing up on the ceiling. This doesn't
Hey,
even make,
Jeremy,
does this make sense to anyone else, or?
I'll back you up on
No.
that one. I've got a scenario. So the only way that something can weigh something is if you actually weigh it on scales. So an airplane weighs so many ton on scales. What about when it's in the air? How are you going to weigh it? I could actually say that the airplane weighs nothing when it's in the air because you can't be weighing it.
This is a bad analogy. What was your name?
Carlos.
And you're a Glober, obviously, right?
No. Jeremy,
Really
think
global.
about it. When it's in the air, what does it weigh?
Yeah. We ain't trying to
Nothing,
weigh
right?
a plane in the air. We're trying to weigh a box on the ground.
Yeah, well, the plane weighs nothing in the air, doesn't it? Until you get it on the ground and you weigh it.
This is a shit analogy. This is ridiculous.
plane
Yeah, I
is
can
just
tell you're a
different.
Glober just from this analogy.
Well, I mean, technically, if we define weight how we were earlier, that it's the downward pressure on the scale, he's sort of
But
right.
it's
The
not-
plane doesn't weigh anything.
It's not how it's defined, though.
How is weight
What's the
defined
point
then?
of the plane? What's the point?
Weight's
Come on.
defined by your mass times your acceleration. So just because you're in the air doesn't mean you don't have a weight.
Carlos, what's the point with the plane?
Prove the plane weighs something when it's in the air.
We don't have to. We can put it on the ground and weigh it.
I'm not
We
a
got the
baller,
box
man.
on it. We got the. I know it's fine. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, but that was a bad analogy, though. But we're talking about the box on the ground. We're not in the air.
You're
So
just
you can
saying
test
that something can only weigh something when it's on a scale.
It's not true. But
No,
yeah,
no,
you
that's
can
just
test
what we clarified was for this scenario we were talking about, because we were curious about the downward pressure of it, not necessarily its mass or any other way of defining how much matter it has.
Yeah, that's how we weigh things, though. We weigh the downward force on things, right?
Well,
How
that's
we
how we
get
measure
weight.
mass too in most cases. Yeah.
That's how we get weight. Yeah.
Jeremy, I don't know if you've done this yet, but just take a balloon and fill it with air.
Comparing it with other
You
masses.
do.
But that's
Yeah.
Just take a
that's another
balloon,
story.
fill it with air.
That wait, hold on, Kosho. What'd you say?
Just take a balloon, Jeremy. And I
About
don't know.
measuring
if
masses. You measure it by
That
comparing
is how you
it with
measure mass in most cases. Yeah, you use a scale and you put the item on the scale.
But you
Just
use
take a
balance,
balloon.
like a triple beam balance or something like that. You compare you compare its weight with another mass's weight that you already know the mass of.
Listen,
Why
I'm the
would you need to
triple
do
beam
that?
dream.
Mass equals weight on Earth in most cases.
No.
The way.
Yeah,
the way
it does,
you-
Kosho. We've had this conversation many times. Mass equals weight. 150 kilograms of mass equals 150 kilograms weight.
Yeah, like I said,
Isn't that how you measure weight in
compare the
kilograms?
mass with something else.
When you put the scale, why do you have to tear a scale for any other reason? Like when you put a scale down, it doesn't say 14 whatever on every scale, does it?
Isn't mass measured in
what
kilograms? Hold on.
Mass is measured in kilograms. Weight is measured in newtons.
We also
Oh my
measure
God, give me a
weight. We
fucking
also
break.
measure weight with kilograms. Okay, there's
Yeah.
somebody just bought a kilo of cocaine. Guess how they measured it in kilos?
Yes, mass is measured by resistance.
Oh, you guys are
to do this.
Listen, you can put a scale on the ceiling and fill your helium balloon up. Is it going to put the same amount on that scale as it would if it? You know what I'm saying? You get it?
No, we don't. Nobody got that.
Nobody
Can
got
I
it.
read this definition of weight? A body's relative mass or the quantity of matter contained by it, giving rise to a downward force. Heaviness of a person or thing.
Yeah, do all the ballers agree?
It's like resistance.
But Brandon, it doesn't matter. They're saying the box is going to weigh more when we put the helium balloon in it and it's pressing up on the ceiling. Like that doesn't.
Yeah, that's retarded.
You can test this, Jeremy. The only reason
I could put a helium balloon in it so big,
Jeremy,
I could have a light enough box and a big enough
Jeremy,
helium balloon. So
Jeremy,
that
I have a better
even-
idea. I have a better idea, real quick. Just
hold on, Aaron. Hold on. Me and Coach were just over talking. Just you're next. I'll go.
you
Coach
talk
and Aaron.
about the box.
Listen, man. What you're saying about the helium, about the box, about the very specific example, the one I gave when there's no air in it. But if you have a box that already has air in it, and then you put a balloon in it that has helium in it, you're displacing some of that air to put that balloon in it. So in that case, you are making it weigh slightly less, even though it's not becoming buoyant. You're just taking out some of the air that was adding weight to it. But if you wanted to test a container that had no air in it, and then you put helium in it to see if it weighs more, you can do this with one of those tanks.
No, that's not the scenario. That's not the scenario.
We're done. Jeremy, can
What
I
scenario
get
is? Go ahead, Aaron.
One that already has air in it?
Aaron,
Let's get
hold
rid
on
of the
a second,
box.
Aaron.
Jeremy, just fill up a balloon full of air. Just fill it up, tie off the bottom, fill it with air. And like Brandon said, magically put in a helium balloon inside that balloon. So you're getting rid of the stupid box you're all fucking worried about. And your initial balloon there with air in it, you put it on the scale. How much does it weigh with just the air? And then you add that balloon with helium. What's going to happen on the scale? Right. So you get rid of that weight.
Out of pressure. In the balloon.
Cardboard is too heavy.
You could actually do this with balloons.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's a great idea, Aaron. What the fuck?
Yeah. Okay, Coach. So here we go, fucker. We got a balloon as our container now. All right. You're telling me the balloon's gonna weigh more when I put fucking a helium balloon inside the balloon?
The balloon will stretch.
The fuck? Dude,
Forget
this is
the container. The new container is the helium balloon.
Dude, I got you, dude. Listen, I'm making this clear so that you understand the two scenarios. One scenario is you have an empty tank, a tank that has no air in it, or some container that has no air in it. If you add a helium balloon to this, you're not doing anything besides adding mass, which is going to increase the weight. And the other scenario is the other scenario is you have hold on. In this other scenario, you have a box that is open to the air. It's got air in it, and you putting a balloon in there and closing it back up. And that the effect of that would be you're replacing the heavier air with a volume of gas that is lighter than that air that you replaced. And so
Neither
in that
of
scenario,
your scenarios
the box would weigh less.
Are the one we've been talking about all night, Kosho. Neither one of those.
You said
The
neither
scenario
one of those
is
what?
we've got a box, it's sealed, it's got air in it, and you fucking magically get a helium balloon inside of it. Still has the same amount of air in it. Not a vacuum, not anything else.
Oh, you didn't? So you're not replacing the air by putting the balloon in there?
No.
You're saying it's like you magically put if none of the air is coming out and you're just adding helium to it, then yeah, it's gonna weigh more.
That's fucking stupid.
Somebody needs to do this. Because I could be convinced either way, to be honest with you.
You're telling me a balloon with helium can't lift a balloon with air?
The only reason why helium does that is because you're displacing the heavier air.
But
If you're not
hang on,
displacing the
Coach.
air, then you're just adding weight to it.
Hang on,
Oh, boys,
Kosho.
he's
If you have the
meditating.
same
Okay.
volume of air, right, and you introduce the balloon, well, then the balloon is going to be pushing down on the air because that's going to have compressed, right, as just as much as the air is going to be pushing up on the balloon. So you should get a net same weight result. What do you think?
What Kosho's saying is ridiculous. It's if you just have a helium balloon and you let it go into the sky, he's saying that it's displacing the entire air in this on this
Exactly.
earth.
The whole world's air.
No,
Just
not at all. I didn't say anything like
Ooh.
that. And that's in that case, the air is what's displacing the balloon, and that's why it goes up. I'm talking about inside a container. If you have a container that you're not taking any of the air out, and you're putting a helium balloon in that container, okay, you've done nothing but increase the mass and increase the weight of that container. If you displace the
depends
air
on
that's in there by putting the balloon in there, then in that case you would
Right.
be decreasing the weight.
No,
but that's only
you're
because
not.
you took some of the air out.
Now you're saying when I add a helium balloon, it's going to decrease the weight.
No,
You change your story
saying
up.
I'm saying in a very specific. I'm giving a very specific scenario so you're clear on what's being said.
You would
If
need
you're
to know
if,
how
if,
big
if,
is the container.
if putting the balloon
How
if
big
putting the
is the
balloon in,
container?
if putting the balloon in the box is taking the place of the air, like if you have to if that balloon being placed in that box is now taking up the same amount of volume, in which case the air would have to have left the box for you to do that, then yes, it's going to weigh less. But if you're able to like use a hose or something like that and just place this balloon or place this helium
Said the
inside
air
of
didn't leave
a
the
box
box.
without displacing any air, then it would weigh more.
But hang on, he said the air didn't leave the box. So by putting the balloon in, you
Nah.
would have to compress the air, and that would mean that the balloon, Kosho, would be exerting pressure downwards on the air, but the air would be exerting equal pressure upwards. So should you not get a net zero result? The way it should weigh the same.
No,
Why not?
because it's not. They're not canceling each other out.
They are,
They're both.
because if the same amount of air, hang on, if the same amount of air is in less of a volume, then the pressure has to increase. Brandon stipulated that the air is the same. You're just introducing the balloon. So therefore, there has to be a relationship between the pressure of the balloon and the pressure of the air. One is pushing down, the other is pushing up. So it'd be a net zero result. There has to be.
Yeah, no, but the balloon is pressing more down than up.
It can't though, because they're in an enclosed
Yes,
space.
because there is a
It's equal and
gradient
opposite.
inside the balloon.
Because if the balloon was bigger, then
There
it
is a
would press the
gradient
air,
inside
press
the
more down
balloon.
on the
It
air.
press more down than up.
Yes, but the air has to press on something. That's pressing with the same equal and opposite force.
That's true. But the
Yes, so
balloon
there'd be a
itself,
net zero.
listen to me. The balloon itself is pressing less up than down.
All that relationship that you're talking about with they're canceling each other out. The balloon is in that box, and that everything is happening inside of that box. But overall, that box now has more mass and weighs more. So there's going to be an overall increase in weight inside that box if you hadn't taken any of the air out and you just only added helium.
No, you're not thinking about it properly. You're still imagining the air left in the box at the same pressure, and it's not. It can't be, because it's the same volume.
That's why we say you have to think outside of the box, bro.
Yeah, and that's why
Yeah,
I think we're
you
all
need
thinking
no.
about this.
Let's start with you need to think.
Yeah.
The pressures
Does
the
anyone-
pressure of any of the gases is irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't know why the big deal. What practical?
As you increase the pressure inside the box, the difference between the pressure up and the pressure down increases.
Brandon, please change the subject.
Yeah, it's too
No,
hot.
but hang on, but the pressure up, right, is against solid walls, Chikey. So that will still
So is the pressure
reflect this pressure
downward.
down against the air. It has to be equal.
Again,
You can test. You can
as
test
you
this out.
add any pressure, doesn't matter which kind of gas it is, to the system, the difference between the pressure up and the pressure down increases. So there's more pressure down than up as you increase the gas in the container.
Magically.
You can test this out with an oxygen tank. If you have
You
an
test
oxygen
this with
tank,
what?
try to
Hey,
introduce.
you can test this
try to
out. Hold on,
introduce
you can test this out
helium
with
fluid.
you can test this out with a blimp. Okay, you put the helium in the blimp. Okay, what is there, a vacuum in the fucking blimp before they put the helium in? No. There's fucking air
Yeah,
in there.
exactly,
You
exactly. There
add
was
helium
exactly. You're exactly
in the
right.
blimp.
There was not a vacuum in the blimp before you added the helium. So adding
Yeah.
the helium is going to decrease the density of that blimp because there was air in it before. Okay?
Yeah, so if there's air in it, then they
test it out
put a
with
helium in
oxygen.
it and it
Use
lifts off the ground. That proves our point.
I think I remember
No,
last
okay.
time.
If you had
Can you lift
just air in
yourself?
it, and then you put helium in it, displacing the air, then you decrease the density. Okay?
No, we're not
You can test
displacing
this
the
out
air.
with an oxygen tank.
You decrease it. Yeah.
We're not displacing the air.
The oxygen. Weigh the oxygen tank and then add helium to the oxygen.
How does a hot
Okay.
air balloon displace anything it's in air?
Wait,
It's
let's
just
start with
air
the
already in
basics.
the air.
Can you
It
lift
didn't
yourself?
displace anything.
I can, yes.
You can lift yourself.
Yeah.
Without any outside help.
Without your
Grab
hand.
yourself by the neck and lift yourself up.
No, you
Can you
need
do it?
resistance. You need
Resistance.
resistance.
No, you need
Brandon,
to hold
imagine
on
all
to
you were
something.
was a
You
head
need
and no
something
body.
to help
Would
you.
you lift
So
yourself?
why would the balloon change? Let's begin. Let's say it does.
Hey, Chike,
It doesn't change anything.
Matthew's body.
It doesn't
hey,
have
wait,
weight.
All right.
Why would it
Hey,
go up?
if I put a
I
parachute
want to change
behind a
the
rocket,
subject, but
Chike,
Brian,
would it still
hold
work?
on. I want to change the subject, but we'll give anybody who wants to have a final say on this a final say. Brian, go ahead. You first.
Yeah, if I put a parachute behind a rocket, behind the thrust, and your space, would it thrust, Chike?
No.
Blimps have air bladders, by the way.
What's
I
that mean,
think we
Aaron?
were there before, no? With
Meaning, if you
trying
just
to-
fill them, if you
Listen,
just fill
let
them,
me make my final comments on this point. Okay, here's the point. Okay, they're not thinking clearly; they're thinking for their paradigm. Now, listen to just an example. Okay, look, if God dang, I just forgot my whole entire point, but it's so plain and simple, man. Let me go next. Let me remember.
Okay.
it means, Brandon, that blimps. Somebody brought up blimps. I think it was Brian actually, and then Chike said some bullshit. But blimps have air bladders, meaning if you just filled the blimp with helium, it would rise. You'd have no elevation control, right? Altitude control. So they have air bladders where they pump in air to maintain a floating, hovering position. With air, they can pump it out, pump it in, pump it out, pump it in. Now, when they pump the air out, blimp goes up. You pump air in, it goes down. It doesn't fall to the ground. It's still hovering. You know,
Aaron, I just remembered, man, before I forget again, y'all. Okay, so the way they describe it, okay, we take a chamber, let's say a vacuum chamber, a glass vacuum chamber. Okay, we got a helium balloon in there. Okay, according to the gravity, as we start vacating that, according to them, as we start vacating that air, the helium balloon will start lowering a little bit at a time as the air is being evacuated. But what we see in reality is the helium balloon just floats and floats and floats until there's enough pressure on it because it wants to expand in all directions. But if there's enough pressure on it to get it dense enough, and then it just barely drops to the bottom, all of a sudden, when you hit like almost a zero atmosphere, you got to get all the way down to zero atmosphere. You got to have the helium compressed in a tight ass balloon, otherwise it'll pop. And according to them, it'll float on the surface and just float its way down. They think gas goes down. They're not thinking clearly, dude. They're stuck in a fucking paradigm.
You're changing the internal.
I think it's you not thinking clearly, dude.
Hold on.
Forget that the balloon.
Hold on, you're
made out of
changing the
latex.
temperature. When you exert,
No, you're not changing the temperature. The balloon has the ability to expand.
Oh yes, you
The
are.
balloon has the
when
ability to
create-
expand, in which
when you
case
create a
it's
pressure or-
decreasing its density.
Listen, when you vacuum something, right? You change the temperature of it. When you condense, compress, or decompress, you can change the temperature can do that.
Very
So
good point, man.
same thing with a vacuum, right? And it's exerting like it's got a crazy ass pull, right? So you're saying that pull off the little container, off the inside of whatever's in there is not happening, like it's not pulling off the container off the shit. So the helium's doing just what it's supposed to do. Wherever the pull or the exertion is from the container is where the helium's going to go to.
That's a really good point, man. But what you just said though about the balloon and the vacuum tank or whatever, when you're decreasing the pressure in the tank, the balloon isn't just going down like you said. I mean, like you said, we say it should because it's expanding, and the fact that it's expanding means that it's decreasing.
No,
its
gravity
density.
says it should. What? Wait, is you saying that it's buoyant? Wait, hold on.
It doesn't say that it should for. It doesn't say that it
Yes,
should
it
for the
is.
reason.
You're because the only thing keeping the
It
air
doesn't say
down.
it should for the reason I'm saying to you right now. Listening, you're just shouting. Okay, it's not going to start falling until its ability to increase its size stops. Because it's able to increase its size, it's able to match the fact that the pressure is decreasing. It's increasing its density. It's increasing its density at the same time.
You're lowering the temperature of the inside of the internal fucking potential of that thing. When you create a vacuum, you're changing the temperature.
Ain't that balloon supposed to fall at the same rate as a lead ball? Once it does get to 0 atmospheres, that balloon that trickles down just barely drops. Ain't that supposed to fall the same rate as a fucking as a lead ball?
Pressure, absolutely.
You're not using your brains, bro. You're just giving explanations.
You're not using your brain because you just said one scenario and then you're now saying it's a different scenario. You're saying You're saying when you decrease the density in the chamber, the pressure in the chamber, you're decreasing it, meaning that it doesn't go from 15 psi to 0 instantly. It's decreasing. That's why the balloon's expanding.
The balloon does
if
not
for some
drop.
reason
The only way you
go to 0, then yeah, it would fall.
Have you even seen it, bro? If you get it, when you get it to 0 atmospheres, like, okay, it's going to be point, whatever you want to call it. Okay. But at that point, there's not enough air resistance. Okay. There's so many problems with this, bro. You need to watch my next to last video, man. There are so many problems, bro. You're just not thinking clearly, bro. Your brain's clouded. There's no way that
problem
is, dude.
You're not feeling good, Kosho, so maybe it's getting to you, man. Too many antihistamines or whatever. Anyway, who's got a new subject? Please save us from fucking balloons and
I got one.
Helium.
I have one.
I've been watching the live stream. They're bringing up a bunch of mythical creatures, like a ring with a thunderbird on it, a dragon, something like that. They're gonna do some album song called like Under Disguise.
Huh?
No way. No fucking way.
Oh, are you talking about the SpaceX thing?
Yeah.
Listen to this now, because I was just about to say Conspiracy Santa. This makes sense to me, and I've been speaking for the longest of times about, first of all, repeating cloud patterns, but I've told people to keep an eye out for the dragon. It's there in the skies. So that you mentioned under the skies, and it's associated with this inspiration for is amazing. Let me tell you what I saw briefly a few weeks ago as I was busking in town, and it's as clear as day. There's no mistaking it. I even stopped a few people and said, "You see that? It was the phoenix." That's no other terms I could come to. A massive cloud right in front of me, a bit of a distance away, but it was clear as anything. It transformed into this, and that's the only thing I think. I knew it was a bird immediately, but that it became so distinctly the phoenix before my very eyes, and other people were there to clarify the same thing. I say we should all be looking out for that, and I think this is what they're hinting at. I was just about to say as well, Brandon, the picture of the penis, the trajectory of the rocket around. Now, is that all just a piss take out of us ultimately, or is there a greater significance to it? And I say it is a greater significance to it, and all of this stuff concerns us, our true natures, and more, as I'm sure you're probably aware of. This stage.
Are you referring to the divided state of man?
Well, man, this is what it's about. This is what it's ultimately about. Flat Earth is a psyop.
Thanks,
it's not.
Brandon.
Earth isn't even flat.
Brandon,
I mean, it is weird that all this stuff is so phallic-y, if that's a word. Who was it?
Phallic-like.
Yeah, what was that comedian's name? Oh man, he's my favorite comedian too. He had the bigger dick theory of foreign policy.
Sam Kinison?
No, he died a couple years back. George Carlin. Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of good comedians, you guys heard? What's his name?
Norm.
Oh yeah, Norm Macdonald died yesterday. Usually don't care about celebrities dying, but Norm was a pretty fucking
funny.
Hilarious. I ended up watching like 4 or 5 hours of Norm Macdonald shit yesterday.
I think didn't I just see something?
COVID.
Didn't I just see something with him becoming a Christian or finding Jesus or something like that? I thought I saw that in the headlines recently, like just last week.
Yeah, evidently he became really religious. I don't know if it was a recent thing or.
It's also strange. I've been getting YouTube recommendations for Norm Macdonald for the last 2 weeks, and I've actually been watching some Norm Macdonald stuff. He's actually a pretty funny guy in his later years.
Yeah, that's true. I've been getting a lot of those in my feed too.
I was just going to ask. I was going to ask. I wonder, did he exit stage left like so many others? Right.
Maybe.
I think there's something big coming, but there's lots
Maybe
of
he's on the island with Jim Morrison and Elvis.
You get a lot of recognition once you
Elvis
die.
is John Cutner, Brandon. Elvis John Cutner. I actually spoke to him. Would you believe that, in text form? And it was a thread over an ATS, right? And after a certain amount of time, there was so many bodies involved in the thread that after it went on for 100 pages or something. After a certain amount of time, it became indisputable. And this character, John Cotner, then was said to have joined, and you could ask him any question. And by the end of it, there was a few people there, but by the end of it, it was almost certain it was him. It was almost certain it was him. And I had a little text chat with him, just telling him how much my mother loved him. She went to the cinema about 16 times to see one movie back in the 60s. So when she married my father, she was fucking married to Elvis Presley. I mean, my father married my mother. He married Marilyn Monroe. But that's a true story. John Cotner, in case anyone doesn't know, Elvis Presley is John Cotner. Just type that in.
Oh, is that who he's supposed to be after he is?
That's who he is now.
death?
That's who he is now. There's so many clues there as well. But a brief search will give you a start on that. But that's just my personal story over an ATS. I reckon I had a text conversation with Elvis briefly. So, and don't get me talking about some of the stuff that I came to find out associated with Elvis and beyond. Michael Jackson marrying his daughter, Michael Jackson faking his death and coming back as the Five Alive Dodo.
Hey, Aaron, what do you have on your mind, man? What were you going to say, Aaron?
It was just getting good. God damn it, Travis.
Just wondering, Pete, how many gigabytes Pete has? I had some on my mind. It's pretty simple, and it's about orbital mechanics. There's nothing to do with helium or fucking boxes and balloons and shit. But I was just thinking about the ISS and, the way it orbits at 17.7 thousand miles per hour and, roughly around there. And it stays in between 250 miles, roughly above the surface of the Earth and shit. If I added weight, let's say I doubled the weight of the ISS, but I maintained the speed, what would happen to the ISS? Altitude-wise.
You would lose altitude.
That's what orbital mechanics equations show. It shows that. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what it shows. Me and BioDuo were talking about it a couple weeks ago because I was seriously wondering, because I know when they lose, let's say they lose speed, they start to fall, so they have to get a boost to get back up into whatever, altitude, whatever it is. So I was just wondering, what if let's just say let's say the spaceship docks to it. Do they, that's adding weight. Do they have to have a boost? I don't know. It's kind of a Glober question. If any Globers
Lenz's law. I mean, ain't it been proven that you can't have perpetual fucking motion? All of a sudden, these people have perpetual motion, like.
Brian, I understand. It's kind of a Glober question. I want to see what they say.
Yeah, but who cares? They can't demonstrate it. Just let's believe it.
Brian, if you know me, I've got more. So Globers.
Orbit is not
Pro-show.
perpetual motion, okay, but yeah.
What if I added a weight to? It didn't increase its.
With space station or craft.
Let's just call the
direction depending on which direction you dock with it. If you dock with it behind, it would increase its speed coming from it would increase its speed.
No, okay, I'm not. Okay, you didn't hear me. I just add weight to it, but I don't increase its speed.
I just answered your question. I did hear you.
Okay, so it would have to increase its speed
from behind. Yeah, if you added the mass from behind, it would increase its speed. If you added it from in front, it would decrease its speed.
I'm not talking about where you add the mass. I'm just saying anywhere. Yeah. What would
Yeah,
you?
I'm telling you,
Would
I'm
it
telling
have
you what
to
it would do,
increase or
depending on what
decrease?
direction it came from.
Would it have to increase or decrease its speed to maintain its elevation window there above the Earth at the same? Yeah. If you increase the mass, does it have to increase the speed to
Just answer to
maintain elevation?
the mass has nothing to do. The mass has nothing at all to do with the distance that it's orbiting from. But if you were to add mass to something that's orbiting, depending on how you add
So
Did he just cut out?
that mass, it would ultimately slow it down and speed it up.
So if
My
I
audio fucked up, or is he roboting?
so if I doubled the weight of the
Yeah, he's
Oh.
roboting. I didn't hear what he said. Yeah, he's roboting.
he's talking about inserting masses from the front and back. I don't know. All I'm saying, Kosho, is if I doubled the weight of the ISS, but did not increase its velocity, its speed, what would happen to it? Would it continue just to orbit fine at 250-mile elevation, or?
I don't know if maybe you can, but if the mass do.
Yeah, you're cutting out real bad, Kosho.
If you magically double the mass ISS without,
Yeah.
I don't know, his Wi-Fi. Is it better now?
Yeah, you're roboting real bad. We're only
Yeah,
getting
so
every
magic-
other word or so, Kosho.
It's still bad here.
You sound good
Yeah.
to me now.
You
But yeah,
got
let's
all
say
that, Aaron?
magically doubled. Yeah, I can hear him.
What the fuck? So it must be me then. I can hear everybody else but him though.
I couldn't hear Kosho either.
Yeah, he was roboting bad.
Okay, Aaron, what? Maybe you're filling in the words with your head or something. I don't know.
I heard a little bit of what Kosho said. So
Oh,
he asked me if I magically doubled the mass, and I said, yes, Kosho, let's just do that. It's kind of a thought experiment. But it maintained the
This line
17.7
before.
thousand miles per hour. What would happen to that mass in its orbital trajectory? It's
Changing the mass is not.
That's what Professor
change
Pill
the orbit.
says too. That changing the mass doesn't change anything.
okay. Well, this is the question I kind of had too. Then why did they choose 250 miles up at 17,000 miles per hour? Isn't there something in the formula there
Yeah, isn't that the sweet spot? That's the sweet spot, right?
for the mass and speed? Is what I thought. That's what the equation says.
Right. That isn't that why they had those African American women in the '60s to figure out that problem?
Right.
Oh boy. Hey,
But bio, we're not. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no. If you wanted to continue with that, I got something to
I was just gonna.
show.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I talked with Bio a couple weeks ago, week and a half ago or something, and like I said, it's an honest question, just a thought I had about this idea, and Bio was pulling up orbital mechanic, calculators and stuff, and he couldn't quite give me an answer, but neither was we weren't fighting about it. We're just trying to figure it out. Like, why is that kind of the sweet spot? Like, so then I went to the extreme and I said, what about Newton's cannonball? And let's say Newton's cannonball is 10 feet off the ground. How fast? And it weighs 100 pounds. How fast would it have to go to hit me in the back of the head? And he figured that out, certain thousands of meters per second. And I said, well, what if you increase that cannonball's weight to 10,000 pounds, but kept it 10 feet off the ground? Would it have to go faster? And it was getting real late, and I may have been doing what I do, and we kind of ended up with like, yeah, it would have to be shot faster because its mass is bigger compared to the mass of the Earth. M1 times M2 over R squared times the G equals F, right? And so we kind of came to that conclusion, and then tonight was over. So when Kosho says, or Dr. Phil says, if mass doesn't matter. That's not what Bio was saying.
Yeah, well, we discussed this a little bit the other day too, and I don't understand because I guess I haven't looked enough into it though. You would think that the universal law of gravitation would play a role in it, therefore mass would be part of the equation, but I don't know.
Newton's first law, Newton's.
Aaron cut out.
So let me go to the extreme on my initial question here. We're talking about doubling the mass of the ISS. What if I halved it, or I took half the mass off of it but maintained its speed? What would happen to it, Kosho? So it's lighter, less mass in respect to the mass that's holding it to the Earth in its trajectory, right?
Yeah,
But
so
it maintained that
you have to remember-
17.7 thousand miles per hour.
Because of the fact that things, no matter what the mass is, things are going to fall towards the Earth at the same rate.
Or
And
any
the reason why,
baller or anybody.
the reason why this is, can you hear me? Is my phone fucking up again?
No, you're good. Keep going.
Oh yeah, the reason why things fall at the same rate is because you're right, the universal law of gravitation holds true, but the relationship is the force acting on the object that's making it move towards the Earth is balanced by its inertia. So, and no matter what an object, a bigger object is going to have a bigger force relationship because of gravity, but it's also going to have more inertia to overcome. So basically, every object is going to equal out, and it's the same principle for when you're orbiting. As long as you have the ability to
Dr. Phil.
as long as you have the ability to accelerate up to orbital velocity, then the whatever's going to occur, like 17.5 thousand miles per hour, it could be a paperclip or it could be a massive building, it could be any mass at all. If you can increase it to that speed, it's going to orbit the same way as anything else would, because it's falling at the same rate.
Okay, I get you.
Kosho, is there any earthbound demonstrations of orbital mechanics in motion? And is there anything at all you could show us outside of this theory? I mean, don't point me to the ISS or something from NASA or anything like that. Just a laboratory demonstration, something at all that will convince me that orbital mechanics is real, tangible.
Yeah,
It's not just
we had this
purely theoretical.
conversation
I didn't get to hear Kosho's
here
answer
a
if he
little
did
bit ago.
about having the mass.
No.
Okay, I thought he was.
I'm going to say ICBMs, but I'm going to let somebody else go in about it because we had a long conversation about it.
Kosho, did you answer anything about the having the mass instead of doubling it? Because I got cut off real quick.
Yeah, please don't
he
make
did.
him repeat it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Just give me
Hey,
this
let me,
list,
share
Travis. What do you say? Give me the
Yeah,
gist.
can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Data sent me a video a couple days ago. It was of some P1000 footage of the ISS, whatever that thing is in the sky that you can watch go over sometimes. And this is it right here. It's probably pretty small, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, it looks kind of similar to that model they show us, but not exactly. I think it looks good enough to pass, but it doesn't look exactly the same. Look at this. This is the model. This is the little thing. See how it's like it looks like it's solid right here? See that? And then it looks like it's got just one side over here, one side right here, and like a smaller side right here. Right? Here it comes. There it is. This looks like solid, solid in the middle, like one big unit right here. Looks like a TIE fighter, kind of. And this does not have one big unit. It's got this space in the middle. It's got these two things here, and I don't know, man. Do you guys think this looks exactly the same?
Definitely doesn't look like it could give off a reflection. Like it's not a let's say a box, a rectangle box up there with perfectly smooth sides. It could reflect light right at you or the camera. You know, it's all rounded and got shit sticking out of it and all that stuff on the model. Like you might get a little pinprick of light off that thing.
Yeah, I just don't think it looks like the same shape. I think it looks close, but not exactly the same. Like this one's got obviously two arms on each one, and then one in the center. It's got this little thing going this way, right? Maybe it's changed since then. I don't know. It doesn't have that thing going sideways. No. I don't know. Maybe it's something else, guys.
What are we talking about
You
here?
know those stars that they can project? I think it's some Japanese company. I wonder what in their specs, how do they claim to do it? I mean, if they're capable of projecting lights, even numbers or figures or anything like that, what are they projecting it off of? I think I heard someone say the sodium layer. Someone mentioned that the other evening. I wonder, could they project other things like possibly this Space Invaders little?
Absolutely, it's a screen. Exactly, it's a screen, Pete. Before we move on too quick, just I didn't know if anybody had an answer, and I'll go back down to my Earth one. I shoot the 100-pound cannonball at 10 feet in the air. How fast would I have to go? I talked to Gio about it. He gave me a number, and then I said, "Well, I'm gonna increase it to a 1,000-pound cannonball, but keep it 10 feet in the air. Would it have to go faster?" And the numbers he came up with said yes. Right, but that's kind of where the conversation ended. Now. That's intriguing.
You meant bio?
I meant bio. Sorry, Gio. I meant bio. But that's intriguing to me because that means mass does obviously M1 plus M1 times M2 over R squared times the constant equals the F in orbital velocity. There's a few other things, but absent any atmosphere, absent any resistance, how fast would I have to shoot a weight over a surface of a certain R at a distance above that R, right? Mass times
Yeah,
mass.
the weight wouldn't matter.
Well, bio seems to disagree, and so does Kepler and Newton's first and second laws.
They don't disagree. If you shoot a mass that weighs 10 pounds out of a gun, out of a cannon, you shoot one that weighs 1,000 pounds out of a cannon. Okay, if they're going the same speed when they left that cannon, then they're gonna experience this. They're gonna hit the ground at the same time. They're gonna travel just as far, and they're gonna hit the ground at the same
So
time.
if I take the same gunpowder and I shoot a bullet of, let's just say 2 or 3 ounces, but I take the same gunpowder and shoot a 100-pound cannon, which one's gonna?
That's a different question.
Which one's gonna go further?
That's a different question. If you apply the same, if you apply the same force to propel something forward, and they weigh two different things, one has more inertia, one's going to be harder to get up to the same speed. But if you were saying if you increase the speed of both these objects to the same thing, like both to 1,000 miles per hour, both to 10,000 miles per hour, then they both are going to achieve the same orbit. They're both going to hit the ground.
Oh, so when you said inertia, you meant mass, right?
No, I meant inertia.
Well, how do we know when you're talking about inertia or mass? Because you guys define them as the same thing.
Well, then why are you confused?
What I meant was, Coach O, is let's say we shoot it far enough where it does not hit the ground, right? It goes around your ball and hits me in the back of the head. The 10-pound cannonball and the 100-pound cannonball. Now, due to orbital mechanics equations, the G constant is in there, right? M1 times M2 times G over R squared equals the force of gravity. Because remember, it's never hitting the ground. It's going to keep going, right? So each one is at 10 foot above the ground, but one's heavier than the other. One's a larger mass than the other, M1 times M2. Right? Well, that's what orbital mechanics is, though. Is M1 called the Earth times M2 over the radius. That's all it is.
Now that's the equation for universal gravitation. Okay.
That is an equation
And
inside
as I said
orbital
before,
mechanic equations.
Yeah, those aren't the orbital mechanics equations. But the reason why I
So
said
you
things
think
fall the
Earth,
same rate.
the Earth will not attract a 10-pound cannonball more or less than a 100-pound cannonball flying over its surface. Which one would the Earth attract more gravity? The constant.
Huh?
He's trying to tell me that the mass of an object in orbital mechanics, where it never touches the ground, Brandon, he's saying the mass doesn't matter, even though in orbital mechanic equations, they use the gravitational constant times n1 times m2 over r squared. That's what they use. So mass is definitely
That's not
a vector.
Dude, that's universal gravitation.
So, okay, let's go to the other extreme, Kosho. Geostationary satellites. How far away are they? Just roughly 25,000 miles, right? And they're very small because they're not moving that fast, so they can stay geostationary, right? Why is that? How come they're not closer?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question for a second. So, like you said something about geostationary and why they're at the distance they're at.
Yeah.
So this is how orbits work. If you forget that they have anything to do with mass, because they don't have anything to do with the mass of the object orbiting, they have everything to do with the speed. The speed has a relationship with the distance, and so if you want something to orbit the Earth exactly once per day, which is going to make it appear as if it's
No, I'm not talking about
rotating with the
time.
Earth.
I'm not talking about time. Just
I
speed.
know, but
speed and
I'm
elevation.
explaining it
Well,
to you
stop
because
bringing up time because nobody said it.
it has to do with
How
the
about every 90 minutes? How about
time,
that?
dude. It's in the explanation. It's in the explanation.
Who's
So you're gonna have to include time. The reason why it looks like it's stationary is because it's orbiting the Earth at this exact same rate Earth is rotating. And in order to achieve that, you have to be at a specific distance.
So it's not orbiting then. If it's geostationary, it's not orbiting.
Once again, sir, just as the Earth is orbiting the Earth is rotating once a day in our model.
Mm-hmm.
If you had something that was orbiting the Earth at exactly the same rate that the Earth is rotating, you would in effect make it seem like the thing was stationary with the Earth being stationary. But they're both circling around at the same rate.
Okay,
And
I
for
got
that
you. There.
reason,
Okay, you're
yeah.
okay. I got you there. So yeah. So what would be the sweet spot for something like that to do that? Could the ISS do that? Could it slow down where it's at and basically just stay over Texas?
No.
Why not?
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying before, because the
not?
the mass doesn't have a relationship with the orbit. The speed has a relationship with the distance in the orbit. So the speed is going to determine what distance the orbit's going to be at. So if you want to go slow enough to where you're only orbiting once a day, so where you go around the Earth once a day, you have to be at a very specific distance, like 22,000 miles or something like that.
Okay. I'm gonna look into it, but that's not what Bio came up with. So let's check it out.
Let us know when you find out. So these two things are not the same object. This thing that was taken from the ground with the P1000 is not this this thing. You can clearly see that this is different. I've paused it like 20 different. This is a different shape. It's a totally different shape than this thing. So I don't know what you guys are trying to pull over on us, but yeah, there's something up there, but it ain't this thing.
Oh, what makes you say it's not the same shape? I
Look
mean,
at
it has.
So here, I'll point it
What?
out to you. See how these have like 2 arms on each one?
Yeah.
Then it's got this one on this side, this one on this side. It's got this section that goes across here. There's gaps in between here, and then it's got this long one, and it's got a thing on the end here. This one has got a solid center. It's a different shape. It doesn't have that cross member. You can see the arms. This one's got like one over here, one here, one over here, one over here, and then this one's kind of like offset on the end, different shape or a different length. It's a different shape.
Well, hold on. What makes you say that? Okay, 'cause you said that the middle is like solid, but I mean, from the looks of it, it also looks like it's like really like pressed and like I don't. I mean, you're right. It does appear that way. It definitely does look different, but it's hard to like from that distance. I don't know. There's a lot of missing information. You know, like it's not.
There, I paused it in a different spot. See? Now, that's what Phil's saying, that maybe it's the diffraction limit, but
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you're right though. I guess from this video alone, the shape is different, but like I don't know if I'm necessarily like I don't know convinced that it's not necessarily, you know, like because at that distance, I feel like things get really hard to like make out. You know, at least at that scale, anyway. I don't know.
That's possible. I mean, you got plausibility there. I'll give you that. But like this one, no matter where I pause it, there's only one side here, and there's 2 sides over here.
That's fair.
Like each shot, see, it's the same here. One here, and this center always looks solid. There may be some gaps there. Yeah, maybe they're real small, but I can't tell from looking at this shot from the ground with the P1000. See, and these are different lengths here, even in every single time I pause it. I can't tell from this shot on the ground that this is the same thing. I can't validate that these are the same things. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. That was my only point. Anyway, how is the launch going? I know everybody's on pins and needles. Let's take a look here.
30 minutes. Or
Holy
26.
crap, they talk a lot.
Yeah, 26:17.
It's
It's
like
interesting watching. Well, it's interesting watching all the different channels because they're all showing something slightly different. So I kind of did like a side-by-side view.
How long they make these guys sit there before they take off?
But that's pre-recorded. They're not actually there.
Oh. Okay.
That's not true.
What? It's not true.
It's just a loop. It's just like, hey, just sit there for 15 minutes. We'll run it on loop for the next 2 hours. We'll shoot something off. It'll land in the ocean. You'll like 3 days later, you'll be called heroes. God bless America.
And the alternative
about
is
right.
that they're actually in there and they're doing checks while they're in the seats to make sure that it's safe. That's the alternative. I wonder which
They're
one is
not
going to be
doing
more
anything.
validated.
They're not doing it. They're just sitting there. The
I know.
same loop over and over again.
That's your opinion. My opinion is that they are pilots of a device in which there are many checks that have to be done while it's fired up, ready to launch.
Oh, can you see them right now? They're just sitting there. No one's checking nothing. They scratch their face. They kind of lift their visor up, put their visor back down.
That's awesome.
They lift it.
That's a
they
great
lift an
opinion,
arm.
Crit. That's a great opinion, Crit. There are many checks that are involved. Whether or
Name
not
one check.
whether or not those astronauts need to
what
be
check?
doing any checks themselves is totally separate from all the checks that would be involved.
What check are they doing?
What do you want me to list off possible checks that you would do for a space
Right now.
shuttle? I'm just
Yeah,
going to
what-
name
what-
off.
what check
just
are they
going to
doing right
name
now?
off known checks that you do on planes.
Love you, Bio.
It's just one of those like I respect that your opinion is different, but I don't see any reason to think that the alternative, that they're actually in there and they're just waiting for all the checks to go through to make sure it's safe before they take off, is being done. I don't
A long
understand
time
that
to
one
sit
is
there.
more than the other. Yeah,
That's a
probably.
long time though. I'd get really antsy.
They had like the German dungeon porn guys there this time too.
German dungeon porn, huh?
Yeah, if you if when they close it up, they've got these people dressed in complete black, like a gimp suit. Yeah, let me.
What?
Yeah,
You
here,
got
I'll
a
grab
timestamp
it. I
for the
just have a
gimp
screen
suit?
cap. Yeah.
All right. That's awesome. Hey, Bile.
Was,
curious what your opinion is on this whole thing here. Not that you may have seen much of it, but this whole story, this backstory for all the people that are going on it that they're giving us. Do you consider this to be social engineering? I mean, this is mass propaganda, right? Would you agree with that?
In what way? That they're in a certain perspective, that they're kind of propagandizing space travel in a way?
Yeah, totally propagandizing space travel. Like we went through the stories of the people that are in there.
I think
And
propaganda is a loaded word, Brandon.
I think I'll be specific and I'll still use that word. I think the case can be made that they are propagandizing it. I don't think that there's ill intent involved in that. So it's much like I may endorse the Cowboys and I might give you reasons why you should like them to be your favorite team, and I am propagandizing that, but there's no ill intent in me doing that. You know what I'm saying? So sure, there's some propaganda involved. I don't think that there's ill or evil intent.
they're throttling up.
Yeah, it's more the fact that it's social engineering that's coming from the government that kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I know that that's a common thing. Propaganda. Every organization does propaganda. Every government does propaganda. So I kind of get where you're coming from there. But just the whole social engineering aspect of it bothers me.
If you see it as ill intent or with evil intentions, I can understand that, and I would agree. If you could show an evil intention, I'd be on board with you. But everyone has a layer of propaganda, even within Flat Earth, even with what you're doing with streaming this, that is propaganda. But from your perspective, there's no evil intent involved. But you're using Flat Earth as a social engineering tool, but without ill intent.
If space doesn't exist and they're completely faking all this, would you then categorize that as evil? Would you categorize it that way?
That would be ill intent because they're presenting something as true when it's not true. So the fact that they're doing this despite of that would be ill intent. Yes.
Yeah. How is this program? How is this show with Brandon social engineering? Propaganda.
Because he's advertising a particular point of view about a topic, and he's using a social media platform. He's using a media platform on the internet to broadcast it.
I don't think that's what social engineering means.
No, you can make the case, but there's a difference between ill intent and just advertising a point of view or advertising. You could still make the case that it's propagandizing. You can make the distinction between ill intent and thoughtful information advertising, I guess. I don't know.
Hey Brandon, what do you mean by social engineering then?
Pushing certain messages to get the people to think a certain way, to push a certain way of thinking, a certain viewpoint about the world. So I guess in a sense that would be accurate if you wanted to consider this show some kind of social engineering, although I'm by no means an authority figure, which is I think where the difference lies. I don't have any power over anybody's life, or I'm not making decisions that can send people to war or cause people to starve to death or lose money or gain money, etc.
People who
So I do see a distinction there. And we present both sides of the argument. This isn't pre-scripted, right?
Sure. There are nuances involved, but just at the base level of the same question you asked me, is it propagandizing? Yes. Are you propagandizing? Yes. Are there nuances in which we can make a distinction between one and another? Yes, of course. But at its core, yeah, it's all propagandizing with nuances, of course.
Yeah.
People who, get degrees for like psychology and sociology know all about social engineering. It's they know everything about. I mean, it's very easy. They'll tell you how easy it is to steer entire like populations, because like masses of people are easy to control. It's harder to predict just an individual, but you can move people's opinions around to however you want. You can mold them to whatever you want. The little coaxing, and that's what they're kind of getting at with these definitions and average whatever they're pushing any time. It's what all these bots and stuff online are doing, fake accounts pushing it. That's social engineering.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think part of it, like the bots, you mentioned the bots, those really bother me because it sends a false impression about the number of people who think a certain way, and people are very susceptible to wanting to be on the side that wins or has the consensus or has the numbers. And the methodologies that are used, like ridicule and, the 5 Ds and all that shit that they do.
Why Giggles has so many sock accounts. He wants to pretend like there's all these people advocating for the globe. You're just overwhelmed. You say one thing, and he'll respond with you with 10 different accounts to make it seem like it's 10 against 1, when it's just one idiot with too much time on his hands.
Well, that's what I wonder, because every time I have an opinion that seems like it's outside the mainstream is telling me that I'm in the minority. No matter how many people in my life I know that feel the exact same way or have the same opinion, I always get the impression from social media, television, mass media, the politicians, etc., that I'm in the minority somehow. And I know they're using tools online to give that impression, because for a lot of people, perception is reality, and they know that. If they can get you to think that you're in the minority, oh no, that's not paranoia. We've got documents that show they do shit like this. They do. You're denying that they do the stuff like this, influence campaigns and such, right?
I think pretty much everyone in your Discord server is a unique individual. I don't know of any sock accounts.
Well,
no, there are sock accounts. Like Flurfer Nerfer has like 30 sock accounts. There are people with sock accounts. Everyone that comes in voice, yeah, those are all unique individuals. I wouldn't say we're overwhelmed in our Discord by bots. I'm talking about like when you go on Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, Twitter
and you
has
go
bots,
look at
I agree.
yeah, like people are out there paying, setting up bots. I don't know who. It depends on the situation. To have these bots reply on every single article that's about, say, a certain medical issue.
Ben Shapiro.
Right.
Ben Shapiro does it, and Rick Rubin does it. Not Rick Rubin. Fucking is it? Fucking not Rick Rubin. What's his name?
Dave Rubin.
Dave Rubin. Yeah.
Worse than that. Even if that's just like, those are just like private citizens doing it. Like, I'm not as worried about it, but when the government gets involved, now I'm really worried. And they've got a literal branch of the army like doing this shit.
Space Force.
Oh yeah, we talk about that all the time on here. The Snowden leaks gave us some really interesting documents about that shit. And I think
not
it's
to
just
bring up something old, but are we going to get a prediction out of you, or should Ranty just go and do the observation?
No, I told Ranty he shouldn't wait for me. He shouldn't go.
But why not?
Well, here's the thing. I'm extremely busy these days. I just haven't got around to it. And I'm kind of ambivalent towards doing it, to be honest with you. Because I think the more important part than doing the prediction is the argument and the evidence that backs up the prediction. So, for example, I'd be happy to take the same prediction you have and go with that for now.
But how would you justify it? Given that my prediction flows from the globe model. So why would you take mine?
Well, your prediction doesn't exactly flow from the globe model. It flows from the assumption that we're on a globe, in my opinion.
He knows that he knows that your prediction is correct. So he's going to have a correct prediction, but he has to manufacture an explanation.
Well, why would you come up with a model for predicting optical phenomena that's based on empirical data that doesn't predict what you're going to see in the real world? Why would you create an equation that didn't describe what you see in the real world?
It shows that you understand how the world works and what the world is. That's what predictions are good for.
No, predictions are good for calculating something. You have some known values, you have some empirical data, and you want to apply it to a similar situation. So you apply your model and say, this is what it should be for this similar situation. You cannot
and what if your prediction's wrong?
You can't prove your assumptions in your model just by making a model that matches reality.
Excellent. Science doesn't prove things. Well done. We got you there.
No, it even goes even more than the brain and the fucking vat thing.
You can validate it though, especially when two different, and I'll use the word models, and I understand you don't have one, but when two different models make wildly different predictions, and one of them is validated, that's a very, very strong argument for the validated model.
Sure, but in this case, our two models for how things should look in the distance predict the exact same thing.
I would disagree.
No, they do.
Show me how you.
I'm telling you they do. I'm telling you my model predicts the exact same thing as yours.
Yeah.
And I use the same equations, the same exact equations.
So you're going to use the globe equations. You're going to use the globe equations to predict what.
Well, I mean, obviously my variables have slightly different names, but when you strip them down, they're the same equations.
Sure. Does anyone else think this is pretty embarrassing?
No, I'm serious. This is. I just talked about this last week. I went through it for hours.
It's not embarrassing
trying to
at all.
justify it.
It's the difference between admitting optics is causing the apparent rising of the ground versus a physical Earth curve. You're begging the question that it's physical Earth curve. It's a hijacking of optics because the ground doesn't really rise now, does it, Ruhif?
Do you have a prediction?
Hold on.
Again,
see, I don't need to rely on a variable that I can't prove exists.
Right.
You're using a variable that you're also using the results of your equation to prove the variable exists. It's self-referential.
Then you don't use the variable. Right.
You can use the same math either way. The globe isn't necessary for the math. It's just the presumptions and how you interpret the math. Instead of a hump of Earth curvature blocking what's beyond, and you're using lines of a sight like lines that are tangent to a ball, you could just talk about the diffraction limit and just use a different interpretation for the same math.
Okay, so use the diffraction limit to work out where the crosshair should be for that observation. Use whatever you like, whatever formula you like. As long as it is as a prediction of a flat Earth model, make a prediction.
Yeah, I already did. I already.
Yeah, but you used the globe. That's why it's embarrassing.
I did not use the globe. Mine is based on planar math and perspective.
Right.
I told you this a week or two ago, and I get the same parabolic drop that you do.
I got my prediction from the presumption that the Earth is a globe. Are you sure you want to use that?
I got mine from hold on, Lemon. I got mine from the geometry of optics on a flat plane.
Okay, what happens to optics on a flat plane?
Well, see, this is why I wanted to have a discussion with you and not just give you a prediction and sit down and debate it and discuss it instead of me giving you a picture and then you going off and making a video and it turning into like this little fucking circus sideshow.
Yeah,
because I can walk you through it, Ruhif.
I don't think we'll get a perfect math formula. I don't think we'll get
Say
a
again,
perfect
brother?
math formula, Brandon, because math needs discrete units that are preserved through the beginning and ending of the counting process. If you count out a bushel of apples, all 50 of those apples, Brandon, are going to be there throughout the counting process. They're not going to and disappear to the point where you can't see them or count them anymore. So at best, we'd get general predictions that are ballpark figures, but they're not going to be absolutely prescriptive because you have nothing to
Agreed.
count that's a unit that's preserved for the counting. So this is just general math. It doesn't work on a globe. And even over a flat, we just get general predictions with the diffraction limit or whatever.
Yeah, the same thing that they get. You know, they have their fudge factor with the refraction, and then it doesn't always match. Watch your videos. I've watched all your videos on the subject, Ruhif. I've watched all Effie Dogma's videos on the subject. You guys never match exactly what your math says. The observations don't match it exactly, and you say, "Well, it's within the refraction." Blah blah blah.
Right.
What's
Because once you get above the surface, the atmosphere has a pretty standard sort of lapse rate. So once you get above the atmosphere, and once you get above the surface, you can get pretty close to approximating the atmosphere.
Pretty close. That's what we're saying. I can get pretty close. Yeah. I can justify my equations on a flat plane.
How are you going to get close? You're going to use the globe equations to predict on a flat Earth. That's absurd. I don't think you know that.
No, I'm just using the same equations. That's all.
Yes,
I'm using the same equations, but it's for a different reason. You assumed that it was caused by Earth curve. I know it's caused by optics.
Did you just listen to what I said, dude? Does the ground really rise? Ruhif, does the ground really rise?
Yeah, Data.
It's a major discrepancy in your feet and inches parameter boundary, physical boundary, doesn't it? If you have an actual physical boundary, so the ground rises in your model then? Is that correct?
Make a prediction, Data.
Again, Ruhif, your predictions are useless if you're hijacking optics. Your predictions are useless if you're hijacking optics. Again, does the ground rise? Does the ground rise in your model physically?
We've done this a million times, Data. Right? Use your vast and superior knowledge of optics and perspective and whatever the fuck you like. Use whatever knowledge you have.
So you want me to come up with this? You want me to come up with the 0.666? Whether I take 60-degree field of view at a 90-degree angle and end up with 0.666? Is that what you want? Do you want me to go? Do you want me to go 1 over 1.22 square root, end up with 0.666? Again, they hijacked the apparent convergence optically, right?
Yeah,
and they based it on. They based it on. They based it on the.
If it's hijacked, do it correctly and
again, you guys hijacked optics.
Sure,
when you
we did.
hijacked
Now,
optics,
take it back and make a prediction.
I can present you the same formula. And guess what? Guess what that means? Mine's based on optics. Yours is based on physical Earth curve. Mine has an explanation for why the ground rises up. Yours doesn't.
You're right.
We made a prediction. We made a prediction. Right. You guys sound like fucking street magicians or something. It's ridiculous. And by the way, it's a fucking.
Make a prediction.
It is not good logic to say that just because your predictions match. That your equation is correct, that your variables are supported. We've gone through this so many times.
Welcome to the globe.
No, mine are. I'm using the same thing.
That's how you validate.
The same. I validated it. You guys have validated my equations.
We've been telling you for years. Science doesn't prove things, right? You can only disprove your model. So
great. I guess we can't disprove my model, and I can't disprove your model. We'll have to do some kind of experiment to figure out if that ground is actually fucking curved or flat.
Yeah, this is the observation. What will it look like through the auto level from Winter Hill looking at Blackpool Tower?
Holy fuck.
What will it look like?
I know you're not this dense, Ruhif.
Does the auto level still explain why the ground appears to rise up into a limited angle? Because you are using a convex lens, right, Ruhif? You're using a convex lens, right? What does that do? What does that do to light, bud? What does that do to light? You're using a 32 times. Are you using, just to clarify, because I actually don't know what you're actually using on the hill or what you're using. Are you using
32 times, yes.
It is, and it's an auto level, correct? And what's the distance that you're analyzing? What's the entire distance of the observation that you're
about
trying
40 Ks to Blackpool Tower.
Now, awesome. Is that instrument designed to measure an angle up to 40 kilometers?
It can.
Is it designed for it?
It can. Most people
Is it
don't
designed for it, you tool?
I have answered your question.
You did not. You did not.
Well, I'm finishing.
Is it designed for that?
Most people don't
Is
use
it designed for that?
It can do
Is
it.
it designed for that?
Yes, it can do
Oh,
it.
it is. Show me in the
Yes,
manual.
it can do
It goes up to. Show me in the manual where it gives you the because it shows you
No,
the
we're not-
nanometer.
we're not doing
It
this,
shows you
Vader.
the,
It can
the
do
angle,
it.
the maximum angle from deviation. So again, show me in the manual where it shows the accuracy is accurate at 40K. It won't.
It can do it.
You're full of
It can
shit.
do it,
You're full of
but
shit.
people
You're
tend not to
hijacking
use it for that.
optics. Everybody knows that, dude.
It's
That's why
ironic
when
that
I
you
ask
speak
you,
of someone
that's when I
hijacking
ask
something when
you,
you're
that's when I
hijacking it
ask
voice to
you,
power.
when I ask you, why does the ground appear to rise up? You're fucking silent.
Yeah,
You're both silent.
No one's silent.
Oh,
You're
so
hijacking the voice
not
chat
Earth
and
curve,
not
right?
allowing people to
Yeah.
finish.
So
You're not
optics,
allowing
right?
people
Not Earth
to
curve,
talk.
right?
Data, you're not allowing people to talk, and you're
Stop
claiming
the
that
bedwetting,
people are
dude.
silent.
Stop coming
It's
into
not
a debate
bedwetting. If
and
you're gonna say that
stop
people are
coming into
silent
the
and you're
debate
not
and
letting
wetting the.
people talk, then it's a little ironic, isn't it? Let
It
people
is.
finish. Fuck.
And I only have a couple of minutes left anyway. Fuck, what was I going to say? Yeah, whatever you think's being hijacked, whatever you think optics does, whatever you think with your fucking vast and superior knowledge, show me what it will look like through the auto level. That is it.
Well, we can try some general equations.
You're using the instrument that's not designed for the observation. Okay, then you're high. You're high. Again, it's not designed. It's not designed for that distance. You globe heads you globe heads take optics like a telescope. Yeah, you take a telescope and you think that the boats are going on over the edge, 3 miles away, right? Then you're taking a 32. Then you're taking a 32 time optics that's not meant for that long distance because the angle actually deviates, right? It tells you in the manual what it's recommended for. 100 meters, 100 meters, buddy. 100 meters, right? That's really where you get accuracy. After 100 meters, it starts losing accuracy, right?
What is the difference between a theodolite and an auto level? What's the difference?
First of all, the auto level is not used for 40-kilometer distances.
No. We're not talking about what people use it for. What is the mechanical or optical or whatever difference between a theodolite and an auto level? What is it that makes it, what makes people use the auto level over shorter distances? What is the functional difference between the two? They're both fucking telescopes with crosshairs. What is the functional difference?
I believe one has to do with vertical measurement and the other doesn't.
Right. Is there a distance limit on a theodolite?
Theodolites, some of them, the high-end ones, go up to 1.5 kilometers, not 40, you fucking tool.
No, you are talking about distance measurement. You're talking about electronic distance measurement.
Ding, 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 ding. Yep, that's right, buddy. I'm talking about the maximum available correct data you're going to get within the boundaries of the instrument, which is going to cause errors when you use it improperly.
You are talking about EDM, right? That's an electronic, firing light back and forth.
I'm not talking about your world. I'm talking about you using a 32 times optics over a distance of 40 kilometers and then saying, hey, let's make a prediction on visibility. Let's make prediction on our optic visibility using an instrument not designed for it. And then you're like, hey, look, the ground is lower because I can't see farther past in the distance than it.
But
again,
are we gonna see
if the atmosphere, dude, again, you're predicting something based on optics, not an Earth curve.
Are we going to see something or nothing?
It doesn't matter, dude. You're basing your things on optics.
All right, I have to
here's the issue.
Hey,
Here's the issue.
1 minute.
Hold on, Ruhef. So here's the
Oh,
thing: if you want to discuss the experimental validation for your assumptions, and we'll do the same for mine, I'm happy to have that discussion with you. But as far as predictions, you can use yours for mine. It's the same.
All right. Anyway, I can't because I'm actually probably going to be away for a couple of weeks and may not be checking in. But hopefully Ranty does the observation anyway and rubs it in your face that you guys were too fucking terrified to make a prediction.
You're just using.
We don't care what Ranty says, Ruhef. We stopped caring a while back when he started making fun of us for tinfoil hatters and all that shit.
Hopefully you're
embarrassed. No, we're not embarrassed.
Hear about your own model. Anyway, I gotta go. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
4 seconds. 2.
Sorry. All right.
1.
3. Come on. Bye.
Boom. Ignition.
Oh, is it going?
It's going up right now.
So what did you guys think of that ISS footage? What do you think of that ISS footage I showed you, Brandon?
Yeah, we brought it up earlier.
I saw.
I don't think it matches what we see, what the pictures of what they give us. I can't validate from the ground what they show us. That was my conclusion.
They're saying
It doesn't look
dude
like
and
the same
sweet.
shape. What did you think, Data?
Well, I know that if I wanted to really try hard, I could emulate that exact footage in After Effects. But I'm not doing that. I came across that video. I figured I'd share it because it's new. So it's just a matter of more people doing this observation. Maybe encourage people to start putting more of this footage of it online. And yeah, that's one way to do it. But the thing is I think that I don't think it's 250 miles up there. I think it's a little closer than that.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time believing that you can zoom in on something 250 miles away that's supposed to be that big and get that kind of clarity. That's a long fucking way.
Yeah, it's just I was gonna try to. Anyway, the point is that it doesn't. It's just 250 miles when you got that kind of shot. No, I just don't see it possible. But you never know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's probably in the ballpark, but seems a little far-fetched. Oh, there they are. They're still sitting in the chairs. I thought they were piloting this thing.
It's going up. It's curving to avoid the firmament. Oh, yep. Burning as it's getting up close to that layer. Yep. Got a curve. Yep, probably
It's
coming down in the
definitely not
water
going-
any moment now.
It's definitely not going straight up, right? This is
No,
not
it's going
just
sideways.
perspective here. This is curving.
Wait, I can go get it, man. Is it going right now?
Things don't
On
curve
the
because of
YouTube.
perspective. They go in straight
If
lines.
it's going right now, I can go outside and get it. Hold on, man.
Hey, anyone listening to me screaming? I apologize for yelling at Ruhif there. Fucking, that guy just fucking pisses me off. Sorry for yelling.
Well, I
No
tried a
worries.
math based off of powers of 2.
Dude, it's coming right over my fucking house, dude. I swear to God. Dude, I wish I could show you all on screen. I'm gonna record this bitch, dude. It's going completely. It's actually going down, and I'm exactly north of it. I got an orthographic view of this motherfucker right now.
What?
I swear
No
to God,
shit.
I'm about
Film
to
it,
film
man.
it right now.
Yeah, get your fucking cell phone out. Film it.
I got it right now.
So,
Gabby, get it with your cell phone. I got the camera.
What
It's
is the
It's
That's
actually
obviously
refracted.
coming in, right? Is that coming
Dude,
in?
I can't even listen to this.
No,
y'all. I
this
can't
is
even
supposed to be
point
going
my camera
out.
right at it. No, look, I can't even point my camera right at it because I got to point my camera away from it. What explains that?
That's a beautiful
What?
little sunset on the right side of that video, Brandon.
It's a curve there, buddy. The wrong direction there.
Oh, come on, man.
Concave Earth again, all over again.
What is
This is
this?
so
Oh,
cool.
this is inside of it, supposedly, or something?
Abby!
143 kilometers.
Surprised they're not stopping my stream. Maybe I
Fuck,
don't
it's going in clouds, man.
On this one, they're showing 2 different telemetry data. What's that supposed to mean? Like the second, the number one's landing now. Okay, the first thing's dropping, and the second thing's just going up.
All right, let's
there you
pan
go.
away.
There's your
Camera.
concave Earth right there. It's pretty close. Flat Earth biodual.
Hold on, which side do you think is the Earth? Left? Oh, there you go. There's that.
See, there's
switch.
concave Earth right there.
And they're still showing the cockpit view. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there. It's just a loop. They did like a 10-minute loop and just re-loop it every so often. What's going on in the cockpit?
It really does look like it's coming back to Earth right there, despite the Earth getting smaller.
It's going down, dude.
You guys are good.
Besides
It's
the
in the
Earth
clouds
getting
now. It's
smaller,
definitely going down.
it's only 100 miles up.
You're seeing top more of that exhaust there. It looks definitely angled to the horizon downward. Yeah.
The one thing's landing, the other thing's going into space.
Bro, I got a perfect. Listen, I'm directly north of Cape Canaveral. I got a perfect orthographic view, and I had it last time. I had it lined up with my wires out front, which are the street wires, and you could see it going down. But I mean, besides that, if you're here in person, it's definitely going down. It's up there though. It looks like it's up probably a good 10, 15 miles maybe, man. It seems to be up a little bit higher. It's coming out of the clouds right now. It's but it is definitely going down. It's certainly. I mean, from my view, directly north of Cape Canaveral, it's going down. I got a feeling it's coming back out the clouds.
Wait, which part's coming down? Because there is a part that is actually coming down.
Hold
Are
on
you
a
talking
second.
about the rocket itself? Right? Yeah. I lost him.
Yeah,
I love how Brian's now like watching advanced rocketry land a reusable rocket, and he's saying the rocket's coming down.
This is the
Thanks,
one
it
where
looks
we,
like it's coming down. Yeah.
this is the one where we see the mouse. Where's the mouse?
So I think the point is how high does it go before it returns down, right? Safely.
God,
Yeah, look
do
at
you still
one-
subscribe?
160.
Do you still subscribe to the stowaway rat? Do you
I saw
still?
the rat in space.
No, I
It
think
was
it's
a
all
real
bullshit.
Rat, bro. It was a
No,
real
no,
rat
no.
in space.
No, that's bullshit.
Do you still subscribe to that? Okay, that's fine.
No,
Yeah, man. It fucking,
dude, that was
it fucking
fake
went back in the
10 times.
clouds.
It's just trolling.
Well, if they did have a rat that's a stowaway, that might be evidence that they're here on Earth in a studio, passing off at least some of it as fakery. A real rocket that goes up with fake footage from a studio or something. Any levels there are to the fakery?
I think it was just a mechanical part, wasn't it? That
It was
back and
ice.
forth?
It was a walking rat.
Hey, let me tell y'all something else we could do here.
It was condensated ice, and then you could see that effect occurring more times over. There was just a thing that may have looked like a mouse, but that effect occurs all the time.
Hey, hold on a second, man. Listen, what we could do is check the time of the video. Okay, I filmed what I could before it went in the clouds, but right when it went in the clouds, it was dead east from me. I'm looking straight out. I could double check with the compass, right? We could check the time it took off from Cape Canaveral. I think it's about 110 miles south, and check out the exact time it launched and see, at least get a rough idea if the speed's matching, man. It appeared to be going down instead of parallel. I got a kind of an orthographic view.
If you look at the video, it's falling quick now. It's like
Yeah, it ain't falling as quick. Where I'm seeing it, it ain't falling as quick as it looks like on TV, but it's definitely going down as it's coming towards me. So it's pretty level off in the distance, but when it gets like closer towards me, it should technically be getting a little higher, like planes do. Planes get a little higher at that point. It seems to be leveling out and starting to go down, but I have to double check.
Yeah, you're filming that shit, right, Brian?
It's in the fucking clouds, man. I got a little bit of it, about the same as last time. If anybody wants to see the last one, went the same path on my video. About halfway down my list on my channel, but I got a little bit of it in my camera. Yeah.
Well, their
Not as
excuse.
good as the last one.
Well, their excuse is basically it has to curve to get escape velocity. Otherwise, we just say that it's curving over a flat surface before it comes down in the water.
The stage one's gonna land.
It curves to orbit, not necessarily for escape velocity. If you're just trying to escape, you don't have to curve. You're curving so you can orbit.
Right.
For a flat earther, that's like cool story, bro.
I know, but that is the correct. That is the correct
a flat
explanation.
surface.
If you have a wrong premise, you're going to come to a wrong conclusion. I'm only correcting your premise.
Well, the premise just doesn't
just
seem
out
to
of
hold
curiosity.
because we don't feel movement or see any curvature for any of
physicists. We're trying to watch the live stream.
Yeah.
So if this hypothetical gravity is mistaken
cut
for
the feed.
magnetism, what's the
They cut
possibility
it
of
right
it?
before it landed with a bunch of turds.
You were saying flat earth data?
Just I forgot. Fuck it.
Yeah, the stage one, they cut it right before it landed.
Okay, you
Oh, they
guys.
did too.
I found the mouse. The mouse is at 28 seconds. I put it in the general. Space
There's
mouse.
Well, that's hard to
white
match
light.
up that CGI of the thing landing on the boat the day of. So if the weather's not right, they're just not going to show it to you. It's too hard to
Check it out. There's a solid white. There's a solid white light following it.
Live with multiple cameras. What about those landings?
You think they would ever figured that out by now? How to get that fucking camera to work on the way down?
They have a few times.
Space mouse is at 28 seconds on the general.
We've seen the space mouse, man. We've seen it.
I
It's
don't
funny
think
that
so.
you still subscribe to it.
Bro, it don't look like a mouse, bro. It don't look like a rat. It looks
I
like
don't think it's a
somebody's
rat
fucking
either.
making a joke out of some fucking blurred out little thing that with little big ears. Hey, let's make the
Say-
retarded rat.
When did these guys
Except
start
for me.
piloting the ship?
Never. They're not even on it. Hiding out in some bunker somewhere.
They're just on a glorified fucking amusement ride.
That's even if they're in it, which they're not.
Right.
I think
denial
at this point, man, it's fair to say that it's safe to say and fair enough to say that they can strap people to on the tops of missiles and land them back to Earth. I think that's possible. So,
It's here. This is funny too. Right before it lands, the guy says Chinese pizza, open kitchen, and then they cut it. And then they cut it. They don't even show the rocket landing, the thing landing. He just announces Chinese pizza, open kitchen.
Why'd he say that?
I don't know. I played it back. Did I hear the right thing? So I played it back with subtitles on, and sure enough, Chinese pizza. Here, I'll post her here. Open kitchen. And then it cuts before it lands.
So some kind of code word or something?
Yeah, remember that movie like Halloween 4 where they had like the code word that make all the people go crazy?
Oh boy.
Oh shit. That's funny.
It's code for space is fake under the dome anyway.
Yeah, what exactly is a Chinese pizza? Is that like
Here, the
We're
better
still
conspiracy-
operating under the idea that he actually said that.
Yeah,
Man, y'all got to hear this, man. Let me tell you a couple.
conspiracy, I can come up with a better explanation. Kurt. You ready? The team that was operating the CGI for that said that everything was done, and now the kitchen down the hall, they have Chinese pizza ready for the whole team because their part of the mission is done. You
What
see how
is
easy
it, y'all?
is to come up with stupid shit.
What is Chinese pizza?
Literally Chinese pizza. Their mission is done. Now it's time for dinner. They got them Chinese pizza for the whole team.
Well,
What is
I want to
Chinese
know
shit?
what this Chinese pizza is. I've never had any. I'd like to order some sometime. Aaron, is Aaron still here?
Probably like teriyaki for the sauce and then orange chicken on top. That's probably what it is.
Okay.
Y'all got to hear this, man.
open kitchen though too. So how can you have Chinese pizza and an open kitchen?
Yeah, the kitchen is open. We have food for you guys. Open kitchen.
Fuck
Come and
food,
get
dude. Fuck food. Listen to this, dude. Listen to this real quick. Just listen to this, man. Okay, so there was something that followed the vehicle, right? It took about 3 minutes, and it wasn't a plane. I filmed them a lot, but it was a solid white light going about the same speed without the tail and the same exact trajectory as the shuttle or whatever the hell that was. And now the clouds are coming back out. But when I got home today from my job about 4 o'clock, I looked up at the moon and I was looking at the sun setting. And it's like, man, that doesn't really line up. And then they're going to say, wait, the sun's way up here. So then I came out a couple hours later, like when the show started, and it was cloudy. There was planes flew by. It looked like, it made the sky kind of shitty, plus a couple clouds. And I couldn't even see the moon. So I walked out to my street to see if I just had a bad angle, if it had already set. Now here it's been a few hours since the show started. The fucking moon just came back out, and I swear to God, it's exactly where it was when I got home from my job. I swear to God. And there's no way I could prove it.
You got that last part right. You swear you think the moon was in the same exact spot, didn't move from hours ago to right now?
Maybe 5 degrees, man. Maybe 5, 10. All right, 20 degrees.
30,
just to be generous.
40, 50.
No, I'm just being. I'm exaggerating, bro. It's right where it was.
I know you are. I know.
It was probably about 10 degrees, man. I'll give it 30 to be. It's south. It's south. I'm looking directly south at the fucking thing, and that's where it was because the sun sets north. The sun sets northwest. Okay, so I was looking at the sun due south, directly south from where I'm at on the coast of Florida. And I'm like, man, that doesn't really line up because I'm looking at the right half of the moon lit. It looks like it's pointing directly right when the sun is like to my back right-hand shoulder. This was earlier today when I got home from my job, like about 4 o'clock. It's still almost directly south. Well, I mean, I can't prove it. I can show you what I see right now, but that's just so weird. Shit happens. But what's weirder than that was that solid white light following the shuttle or the rocket.
So seconds before they're going to land the stage 1, they cut the feed and announce open kitchen for Chinese pizza.
Delicious.
Do we actually have someone? Where do they say that?
My explanation is still the best one, I think.
That is a pretty good explanation.
But where do they actually say it? You keep saying they said.
Yeah, I posted a screen cap of the time with a timestamp.
Where?
It's in general.
All right.
There's subtitles. There's subtitles that have the words.
15 minutes after the hour.
Could be different words. The algorithm for the subtitles could suck.
Yeah, Brian, I've had that happen a lot of times with the moon, where I'll be just nonchalantly looking at it, and then like an hour later I'll be like, what the fuck, that doesn't look like it's moved, and I'm never ready for it, right? I never have my camera out, but that's happened a number of times for me, where
I've never seen it this drastic, you know.
Yeah, I know.
But this drastic is crazy, dude. It's south. It was south earlier. It's south now. I mean, I walk out my door. I'm looking straight at the ocean. I take a right. I'm looking straight south. And I walk out my door and look straight right. It's still there. And it was there way before the show started. In fact, I tried to see it earlier just because I was looking at this is when it doesn't line up the best for me. When it's south and the sun sets over my back right-hand shoulder. That's when it fails to line up with with the theory that the sun's light's reflecting off of it. And so I thought about capturing it. So I went back out about an hour later, a little bit before the show. And it was covered by the clouds. I couldn't even see if it was there. So I walked to try and get a different angle. It was gone. Apparently it's still behind the clouds. But this is before the show even started, And I'm walking out my door. I look right. It's still right there. It's definitely not moving much. It's weird. I've never seen it this drastic. It catches your attention, but it
moves 3% slower than the rest of the sky.
Oh, hey, they're piloting. They are actually doing something. They're checking their email. I didn't think they did anything. All right, I eat my words. I take it back.
Yeah, one of those dudes is he actually trained at NASA, the civilian guy, and he's actually the one supposed to be piloting it, even though it's on autopilot. But he's like the in control, just in case, I guess, or checking the systems and shit like that.
So he's just playing a video game, pretty much.
I mean, it's on autopilot, so.
Yeah. I gotcha. What are all these people doing?
Checking email.
Yep. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 24 people in here looking at 2 or 3 monitors each.
Yeah, there's a lot of
That's
stuff.
A lot of shit to watch.
Yeah.
It's probably just different systems that are specific. Like if I'm a fuel guy, I'm not going to be looking at navigation stuff, and then perhaps a backup to get 2 sets of eyes just in case one person's fucking dumb. I don't know, probably something like that.
Yeah, now that I think about it, there probably is at least 24 electronic subsystems on there that they would want to watch, right? Sensors and shit.
Ideally, and especially live, because if you have one person watching everything, you may miss something going down the checklist, like number 2 failed, but I'm on step 17. So it'll be some time before I see that failure. So they probably just have it very specified like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's plausible. Well, this is pretty uneventful, I got to admit.
Yeah, thanks.
One thing I can tell you too is that, the tail of the spray from the rocket is definitely facing the direction it came from. It's just not going up. Okay, you could probably talk me out of the fact that it's not racing down like an arc, but you might not be able to talk me out of the fact that it's not not losing altitude, but you could never talk me into the fact it's over 10, 15 miles, maybe a little higher than the planes. But no matter what, the tail spray is facing south the whole way, right from when I first see it. It's not going up because the spray would have to be facing toward the ground, or at least kind of somewhat toward the ground, right? And that's definitely not happening.
Why do you say that? It's when they raise in altitude and they get higher in the atmosphere, the exhaust doesn't come out, it doesn't come straight out the back. It starts to spread and spread and spread
So
until
they
it's
separated.
completely.
The capsule's leaving now.
It just doesn't go that fast, man. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Oh, what bunch
It's
of
just
crap.
not going up, and it's not really going that fast.
They separate the Dragon capsule, and then that's it. Show's over. Everyone go home. And now it's just the people talking.
Why don't they show us
Ground.
fucking space or the Earth and shit?
Yeah, they said they fitted it with some sort of glass, like nose cone that anyone can look out. And now that's it. They just ended it.
Oh,
Show's over.
what a letdown. I don't know, guys. I don't think this changed anything for me.
Kind of a good thing. That's what I was thinking when I was watching it, man. Because I told you the Challenger was the first, NASA sent civilians to space the first time. It was kind of bad, so it's kind of good that nothing's happened.
That was pretty
Scary part.
shocking. When I remember before that, I loved space. That's all. It seemed like we talked about it constantly in school. And NASA and shit. I knew all the names of the astronauts and shit. And that fucking thing blew up, and I was like, whoa.
They were sending teachers up on that one, and who was that kid from A Christmas Story? He was there at the launch, and he was supposed to be the figurehead dude for like the next, because the next big thing was going to be over that they were going to send kids up. After they sent like the teacher and they sent like civilians, they're going to send kids up. So he was going to be like the head of the campaign for that, but yeah, that canceled that whole thing.
Yeah, we're not going to send the kids up. Well, that's awful. All right, guys. Well, we're way over. Thank you to the panel for joining and being on the YouTube show. Appreciate it. It was pretty fun. And we'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. One last word from Kango24. This launch just shows complete irrelevance of this group and all skeptics. SpaceX launch is real science. No one give a single shit about deniers. All right, there you go. That's that messaging that we're all alone and we're in the minority that I was talking about right there.
Come to my house and watch it and say it's all cracked up for me.
Before you go, Brandon, I want to mention there is a Israeli spy program called Pegasus that was released on Apple users. There was an emergency update by Apple issued like a day ago, I think. I don't know if anybody knows this, but yeah. So just letting you know. I guess Pegasus is Pegasus is a spyware that the Israelis sell to governments to spy on, diplomats, citizens, right? Hack their information. It's called a zero-click access, so you don't even have to touch anything on your phone.
Nice.
They said they raised 330,000 on super chats or whatever.
For St. Jude's?
Yeah.
That's it? 330,000? All those space nerds, that's all they could get? Oh, that's pretty cool. Anyway, thanks again. Anybody who didn't get to talk during the show want to say anything, or anybody dying to say anything? Go ahead. Got a minute now to do so. No? Cool. I'll be back. I'm going to record in the server after the show, so just so you know, it'll probably be recording all night. Thanks again, guys. Be right back. Okay. Thank you very much. To the audience, thanks Kango, thanks who else sent a super chat? Shit, I can never remember. Anyway, whoever it was, thank you very much, appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow. I am planning on being here tomorrow, by the way. So, I don't know what we'll do tomorrow. Maybe we'll do Flat Earthers only first half, since we didn't do it today. And go from there. Then Friday Night Fights. All right. Anyway, have a good night. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Understand.